Right. Good morning again. Okay, we seem to be on now. So yeah. Apologies just now, folks. We just had a little issue with the YouTube. So I just wanted to make sure that was sorted out. Deborah Duranti, morning. Neil Francois, Rena Jennings, Casey Joseph, good morning. Janice Matthews, Deborah. Well, Deborah is also on Facebook. Stephen Davis, Deanne Charles, morning Deanne, Kurt Richards, morning. Casey Joseph, Simdom 17, morning. Kurt Richards, morning. Jennifer Dorset, sorry, morning Jennifer. Gemma Alexander, morning to you. Right. Turn this off. See, Simdom 17, morning. Karen Gaspard, Ray, Julia Matthew, Dexter Tweets, morning to you. Ria Edward, Angela, Joseph Richards, Winston Jack, morning. Kenneth Gabriel, Christopher Surratt, morning. Good morning to His Excellency, the President of Pleasantville, Nigel O'Connor, and First Lady Mauricia. Morning, Angie. Denise, Larry, good morning. Narcissus Macano, morning. Make sure there's something up here. Right, so let me try and get to take one time because I know I have a tight schedule this morning. So it is Sunday the 13th of August, and the polls should be opened in about 19 hours from now, or thereabouts. So if at this point in time you haven't yet made up your mind as to who you're going to cast your ballot for, I don't know what else you need to hear or see to make that decision. I know there are a lot of people who still say they're on the fence and they're not sure, and maybe tomorrow they might decide. I know there are some people who support the PNM who say they're voting because of this issue and that issue, certain things that have not been fixed, the road ain't fixed, there are water issues and all of these different things. But hear what? Not voting ain't going to change that. Not voting is not going to fix the problem. If it is that you want to have a fighting chance of fixing the problem, then cast a ballot. That's all. And hold your councillor accountable to get the work done. And based on all that has been articulated so far about local government reform, it seems that this reform would put more power in the hands of the Burgesses to be able to demand from their councillors and by extension the corporation a better service going forward with respect to what it is that is supposed to do for the benefit of your district, your community, and for your own personal well-being as well. So we will see what the outcome is tomorrow. I haven't really seen much polls in terms of NACTA. I haven't heard from Nigel Henry in a while. Solution by simulation. I don't think he has done a poll. I don't know if he's still into that business. I saw one NACTA poll which said it is still neck and neck. So we will see if it is. We're going to have another 7-7 outcome. Some people on the other side predicted, yeah. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. Right. So let me just get this here. Where is this? So I have a couple of things I wanted to play quickly this morning. Some poor misguided souls. I was sent 2 videos of 2 young people complaining about telling people why you shouldn't vote for the PNM and so on. So let me just play this last time. Sweeping town. Sweeping town. Oh, sweeping town. I was in the Lacoray when somebody showed me him. Somebody said that enough today, the boss could take care of them. And in this crowd was singing loud, going to the convention. When we walk in big screen and thing, oh Lord, walk a session. The
In the hand was a plan and he started to jam. He hit them bam, bam, bam. Somebody say you got to like the man. He had a touch of Eric William. Hallelujah. We ain't making no total mistake. Hallelujah. What the opposition can't ever take. Hallelujah. When I say okay, you know what I mean. Hallelujah. Get all your broom and sweep in this country clean. Hallelujah. We can't fail. Hallelujah. Licks in the tail. Hallelujah. Great is the BNM. It shall remain. Sweeping town. Sweeping town. Sweeping town.
Right. So I'm seeing someone on YouTube telling me they're not hearing, but I'm seeing other people in the chat. Well, who appear to be here. I think there was a previous link, but you need to ignore that one. The most recent notification that would have come up, that is the one that you need to get onto. Right? So yeah, so if you're not here, you need check again, and there's a second link, because I was having some challenges earlier. That's why I had to come off before and come back on. Right. So Gillian Jackson, morning. So I see somebody here by the name of Dune Coben saying, getting highly paid to mislead your own people. Shame on you. Really, Dune? Share with us now, what is the misinformation? You know, every time someone you'll come on and say these things, right? I always ask the question, tell us what is misleading. What is misleading? Share with us, but you all just come and make statements like that, and you see, because you all get your talking points from the Underground Report, Doglaya Politics, and the Monday Night Forum. That is where you will be misled. That is where you will be misled, sir, not here. So please come in the comments and tell us who is misleading who with what. But anyway, let me get to the issues, right? So a few things I wanted to touch on for the final time before we go to the polls. And I saw Rhoda Barrett this morning do a quick live, and she was talking about the issue and said, this whole stand your ground and making it easier, the UNC promising to make it easier for persons to access firearm users license should they come into office in 2025. Not August 15th, 2023. 2025, whenever the election is called, right? And she was making some very salient points, and I saw someone put a comment that about calling her a fool, saying that this fool thing that everybody going to get firearm users license and so on, and it is for business people, the middle class and the upper class. Kamla Persad-Bissessar is not saying that. She is not saying that. Every time she takes to stand your ground and light them up and empty the clip, she's giving the impression, and she keeps saying, they will make it easier for law-abiding citizens to get access to firearm users license. She's not saying law-abiding business people or law-abiding citizens who fall in the middle and upper class. That is not what she'd say, because in fact, when you see most of the lives and the videos that are being done by persons who are supporting Mrs. Persad-Bissessar, it is not business people and persons who belong to the middle and upper class who are coming on social media and doing these lives to chastise the position of the PNM and others who are in opposition to what Mrs. Persad-Bissessar has been advocating. There's a reason why Mrs. Persad-Bissessar is quoting Trinidad lyrics and gunman lyrics in order to get support for this stand your ground thing. The upper class not listening to that. The business people aren't listening to Trinidad music. All right? They're not listening to that. So please, spare us. Miss us with that BS. Mrs. Persad-Bissessar knows exactly what it is that she is doing. She's appealing to persons who otherwise may not support her party, and she has found something that resonates with them with respect to the issuance of firearms and the novelty of owning a gun legally and having a gun to be able to put in your waist or you have it home, whatever, as the case may be. The whole idea of that is appealing to some people, and unfortunately, the UNC has sold that whole idea from the perspective of home invasions. That you need to get a firearm, so if it is or when it is the perpetrators come to your home to rob you or to kill your family, as the case may be, you could have a fighting chance. That is what she's been selling. Okay? And there are a lot of people in this country who would be in for a very rude awakening if it is in 2025 the UNC comes into power and then Mrs. Prasad Bisesa bursts your bubble. When you thought it was going to be easier, all you had to do was to go down to Caroni, get the application form to get a firearm user's license, you fill it out, and then go to whichever dealer, because there's some information on the form that requires you to put the type of gun you want to get, the dealership that you're dealing with, and all these different things. And then you submit it to the police service, and you figure within 6 to 12 months you get a firearm. There are a lot of background checks to be done. And only last week Monday, at the Monday Night Forum, she said, people keep saying that they're saying that I will not give everybody gun. No, there's a process that you have to go through, and you have to do background checks and psychometric tests and all of these different things. She wasn't saying that before. Eh? So all of you all who took Chin up like in 2010, when they promised $3,000 pension at age 60, that they were going to reduce the pensionable age for old age pension, government pension, to age 60, and everybody would get $3,000 at age 60 added to your NIS 3,000, and went and gave her your vote for that. And then after the election, when she had your vote and it was all said and done, they come and tell you it was a misprint. Despite the fact that night after night you had speaker after speaker on their forum talking about that. The same way they're talking about light them up, stand your ground, and load up the matic. It was the same thing they did in 2010 with that pension issue, because they realized it resonated with people. They sold dreams to the citizens of this country. A lot of people gave them votes for that. And then afterwards, they were let down and disappointed when they heard it was a misprint. So when Mrs. Prasad Bisesa is being nebulous in terms of who are going to actually qualify for these firearm users license, and not only saying law-abiding citizens, she will make it easier for law-abiding citizens to get firearms. And then when time comes, after the election, you all put her back there, and she changes her tune now to say, well, it's only persons who are most at risk, law-abiding citizens who are most at risk of being targeted are the ones who will get the firearms, right? Because if you work in CPEP, as far as she's concerned, you don't need no gun. First of all, you shouldn't even be able to afford one if you work in CPEP, so you ain't getting no gun, right? You're working in the factory, you're working shift, 2 to 10, 6 to 2, 10 to 6, right? And you're making a little 4,000, 5,000 a month. As far as she's concerned, you don't need no gun. What you need gun for? Nobody's supposed to be coming to invade your home because you're not nothing for them to take. Most of you are probably who fall into that category. As far as she's concerned, you live in paycheck to paycheck. So the only reason why anybody would come to try and invade your home is if you're involved in wrongdoing, in wrong stand-up. Right? You get yourself caught up in some kind of bacchanal with some criminal, and they come in at you, not for the sake of home invasion to take what you have, but to put your lights off because you owe them money or whatever bacchanal you get yourself in. And she's not concerned about those, because she's, as if you, based on what she's saying and the members of her party are saying, if you find yourself the victim of a home invasion, because you get yourself caught up in some kind of criminal activity, you deserve to be lit up. You are one of those on whom the clip should be emptied, right? And she not catering for you. She's not going to put any guns in the hands of you who getting yourself caught up in wrongdoing. So as the individual would have responded to Ruda, commented under Ruda Barrett's live a little earlier on, saying that is business people, middle class and upper class, please ask Mrs. Prasad Bisesa to see that. Ask her to say that, please. I mean, a little too late, because we're probably not going to hear anything from her today or before the election, tomorrow. But perhaps you should have been advising her earlier on to say that, to be very specific and who is going to get it. So that all these little 20-something-year-olds who I see doing lives on TikTok and Facebook and wherever, on Instagram, and talking about they supporting Kamala Prasad Bisesa because when they deserve a fighting chance, and if you have a gun, you will have an advantage. What advantage? That gives you no advantage. Because when 5 of them come at you with automatic weapons and AR-15s and AK-47, you with your handgun, with about 17 in the clip, you don't really stand a chance. Because all it takes is for one of the 5 of them to open up whatever they tote in, and likely, before they even come inside, you dead. So you don't know where it's coming from. You just hear a noise outside, and what you're going to do? Just start to fire shots and hope because they hear a gunfire that they're going to run away? No, if it is that they come there, and we see a lot of these home invasions that we reading about now, it seems it is not random home invasions, but rather they're coming there as a hit because they're calling names. I read in the newspaper this morning of some family, I think in Moruga or somewhere there, that were the victims of some home invasion. The family was tied up. No one was killed, but the men apparently came in with guns, and the head of the household, the father, he apparently, even though the men were in masks, he recognized one of the individuals and shouted out, "So and so, is you? That is you there, boy?" Now, when they invaded the home, they were told it was a hit. So the family was known to whoever. So this wasn't some random thing where they say, "We're going to rob that house." So more and more we're hearing now. In the case of the central bank employee, when the men came in, they asked specifically for his wife. So they came there with a purpose, specifically for her. All right? So a lot of times we don't get the backstory, but we're making it seem as if, yeah, they just randomly running into people's homes and looking to kill people. As I've said before, most of the home invasions do not end in fatalities or casualties in terms of the homeowners or persons who live in the home, where it is that it is a random home invasion. And I question how many of these home invasions are even random these days, but where it does happen, where there may not be a backstory necessarily. They come, they tie up the family members, they take what they want, they ransack the house. If they get money, they get jewelry or whatever it is. In some cases, they take the people's car and they're gone, as was the case with the retired couple. They came and in that one too, remember they told them, this is a hit. Tied up the elderly couple, ransacked the house, take what they needed to take the people's car and left. Nobody died. But I keep hearing people talking about this is to protect yourself, and when they come in your house and you have a fighting chance. What fighting chance if it's 5, 6 of them coming in at the same time? You just go and scatter bullets and hope that you kill all of them? So what you feel when you open up that they're not going to return fire to put you down, and the sophisticated weapons that they have, what you would have or what you qualify to have is chalk and cheese. Chalk and cheese. And it's not like if all of them going to come through the same door, one next to each other, and just stand up in line and say, "Here, what? Right, shoot us." Some of the most ludicrous things and scenarios I am hearing. And let me just say to the individual who commented on that Rhoda's live, the issue here is not about persons having firearms, legitimately having firearms to protect themselves and to protect their families, right? The issue here, and we keep saying this, is the issue of stand your ground. Because if and this is my question, if it is sufficient to give people firearm users licenses so that they can access a firearm to protect their family, then leave it there. Stop at that point. Why are you going a step further to bring legislation that gives persons now the justification or gives them the boldness to use the firearm in circumstances where they might not have otherwise used it? As we have stressed before, stand your ground removes the duty to retreat. In other words, if you find yourself in a situation, an altercation that can end without a fatality simply by you walking away, right? You don't have to. Stand your ground gives you authority legally to grant charge, to stand up, to goad the other party to do something to warrant you pulling out your gun and shooting them. That is what stand your ground does. So we saw instances in the United States where some young people were going to some party at the home of a friend. They got lost because, sometimes Waze and Google Maps can send you in the wrong place and you end up oh-he-oh-ho. When they realized that they were in the wrong place, all they simply attempted to do was to make a U-turn, to turn around. And so they turned into the driveway of a homeowner, just turned into to reverse and head out. And this individual, who clearly has experience in the use of firearms, from his front porch came out with his shotgun and fired 2 shots at the vehicle, right? Killing the front seat passenger. And his excuse was stand your ground. He assumed that it was persons coming to rob him. And that is why he opened fire and resulting in the death of this young lady. I believe that he has since been charged with murder. There was another young lady who went to the mall, walking back to the car, and it just so happens the vehicle parked next to their car was of the exact make and color of her car. And this has happened before. It has happened to me, where you're not really watching license plate or whatever, depending on where you decide to come around, and you just, yeah, well, that's my car. And pull in the door, you press, right? You press the alarm, you hear the alarm go off, and you pull in the door, and for some reason it's not opening. It's like, what craziness going on here, boy? Put in your key trying to open the door, and it's not opening, and you realize what shuts. My car is the one next door, right? Poor young girl, gone. It just so happens that the person who was in the other vehicle that looked like theirs, the owner was in the vehicle at the time. She open the door, thinking it's her vehicle or the vehicle that she came in. And the owner of that vehicle opened fire and shot her. Right? Now you see, this is a young girl. Clearly she poses no threat. No threat whatsoever. She probably come with some drink in her hand or whatever it is. So you could do an assessment right there and determine, well, I mean, even if you see she opened the door, you figure you're under threat, well, you take out the gun and you point it. So when she think and she see, you ain't seeing no gun in hand or anything, so that to see, well, hey, she going and kill me. You have your gun on your lap or whatever it is, so give it a 2 seconds or 10 seconds and she will say, oh, shucks, sorry, I thought wrong car. And she would have realized, hey, it's the wrong car, and go on to the next one. But you pull out gun and shoot the girl, and again, claiming stand your ground. And that is what we have issue with, is the law giving people an excuse to kill somebody else in a circumstance or situation where under normal circumstances they would not have shot anybody because no guns would have been involved. It might have resulted in a cuss out, right? Probably might have resulted in some blows pelting, fisticuff as they say, a little scramble, and that's the end of that. But now, when you have weapon on you, could lead to a totally different outcome as to what currently obtains. And that is what we have an issue with. So stop making this about stand your ground is only to give people the right to defend their homes. It is not about that. It is not limited or confined to domestic situations. And that is the problem we have. That people out there carrying around guns, because most of them, when they get a firearm, they're not going to leave the gun home. They're going to walk with it because, you know what, I have a gun, so okay, I could walk with it. And you don't know what situation you could find yourself in. You go into the bank, okay, right. You come out the bank and somebody try to hold you. Okay, then I scramble, you can say, well, that's a situation where I could use my firearm to defend myself. But in this mad scuffle, when somebody else, you pelting shots and some innocent bystander get shot, what you going and say? You're going and tell the family you were trying to stand your ground and you're sorry for what happened? Their family member dead and gone. Any consolation? Because after that, you offer your apologies and you go on back living your life as normal. And because of what you did, this family is now in mourning, having to go through if it is that the person who is shot is a breadwinner, and they're gone. And what, you're going to compensate them? No. Because as far as you're concerned, you were trying to defend yourself and this person just happened to get shot. And it's unfortunate. And you're sorry. But if you're going to turn your gun after that, no. Okay. I'm suffering, I ain't doing nothing to me. My bottom of conscience a little bit for a while, but after that, it's like, next. And this is what we're talking about. What is to prevent this? She keeps saying the law-abiding citizen. But what is to prevent the non-law-abiding citizen from getting their law-abiding family member or friend to go and apply and get gun and then give it to them? I could foresee a lot of guns being rented out to people to go and commit crimes. Law-abiding citizens. Law-abiding. How do you know this person is law-abiding? Simply because they have never been caught by the police, or they haven't been caught yet, or that they could go to the police station and get a clean certificate of character that says they've never been charged and they are not on the police radar. That don't make you a law-abiding citizen. We can have plenty of citizens in this country doing all kind of wrong thing, and the police ain't catch up with them yet. So, Mr. Swada BS now. And let me make this point too. Crime is not only holding up people with gun or robbing people at gunpoint and so on. You have a lot of persons, upstanding citizens in this country who engage in crime. Whether it is that they're paying people to do some of these things, white collar crime. So when you're only focusing on the man who come in to rob you and hold you up in your house and take what you have, just remember that when it has some of these upstanding citizens engaging in fraud and robbing the treasury. They're robbing you, eh? You're getting robbed. Because that is money that could have gone for the betterment of you, your family, and the rest of the citizens of this country. When it is that you have an attorney who, it is alleged, was on the receiving end of 10% kickbacks. So much money did he receive that, according to one of the attorneys who admitted and confessed to being a part of this 10% kickback racket, that this man had so much money, so much taxpayers' money paid to him as kickbacks, that he didn't know how to spend it. So that when he's expanding his house, renovating his house, if it is he decide to put on expensive tiles or add a wing, and he find afterwards it ain't looking too good, break it down and do it over. Tear up the tiles and do it over. All of these different things. He could do that. And you know why? Because based on what was said by the attorney, he had so much of your taxpayers' dollars that he could do that. So while someone is struggling to get a small loan to fix your leaking roof, some of you are struggling to get a small loan so that you could build up a little one-room something, put down a foundation and start something. You have a man who served in government in this country, has so much money that he could afford what he's spending on simple things like tiles and pillars and all of these different things, right? Could probably build a whole house for you, or build the house that you want, the 2-bedroom or whatever it is that you want. He was using your taxpayers' money to expand his home and breaking down things and doing it over without let or hindrance, because he has so much money and nothing to do with it, nothing better to do with it. That is thieving, right? That is robbery too. You don't want to go on and empty the clip on him. Nah, that is all right. He don't pose any threat to you, right? Yes, you're not seeing how he posing a threat to you, but he does. He does. Because especially when it is that you are contemplating putting back the party to which he belonged back in office in 2025 so that they could come and continue and do those things again, right? Just remember the reason why you voted them out in 2015 and you didn't support them in 2020. It is the same players. They have not changed. If anything, their appetite to thief has grown. And they have new players now on the scene who want to do the same thing and benefit in the same way, who have been schooled by those who were there between 2010 and 2015 on how to thief. So giving briefs to lawyers who now come out of law school, your child who went and studied and is lawyer 5 years now, right, and probably struggling, okay, probably working legal aid or something because the private practice didn't work out. But you have attorneys who support that party, who now come out of law school, 6 months, getting legal briefs to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. And where it is that legal briefs are normally paid, they're taking 6 months to a year to pay, sometimes even longer. In fact, when they came in 2010, the Attorney General at the time, all of a sudden, a flood of monies that was owed to him by the state in legal briefs, he suddenly get all this money to be able to buy property all over the place, here, there, and everywhere. And when he was asked about that, so how is it that you didn't buy these properties before, but now that you have become Attorney General, you've been able to purchase it? He says, well, the state has been owing me some briefs for quite a few years and it has been paid. Who authorizes the payment of briefs? The Attorney General himself to himself. So I come in and they owe me, let me look to pay myself one time. First things first, let me deal with our backlog of money that they owe me. And we see absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is okay. That is not conflict of interest. No. That's not a conflict of interest. But they want to talk about how much recusal and how much time Faris recused himself from cabinet meetings and how much time Stuart Young recused himself. And so when you look, most of the recusals has nothing to do with any family member or friend. It just might have involved matters that they would have been dealing with as attorneys prior to coming into government. And it is now a conflict because the government is treating with situations that involve these people and they have to recuse themselves. But we're not getting the granular details with respect to these explanations. All we're latching on to is 250 recusals. Faris recused himself some more time. Never, they ain't talking to tell you, well, some of the things he probably recused himself might have been the same issue that came up in cabinet several different times. And every time it comes up, you have to recuse yourself. Then talking about that. But how much recusals and recusals? But we have no clue as to how many recusals took place between 2010 to 2015. We're not hearing that. We ain't hearing about that, If it had no recusals between 2010 to 2015, it's because they were so unprincipled and so corrupt that they didn't even care to recuse themselves when matters came up that involved them. You see? But I have a different perspective on that, because it's been almost 2 months now since I filed a Freedom of Information request on the Cabinet Secretariat for information with respect to recusals between 2010 to 2015, ministerial recusals, and it was my hope I would have gotten it before August 14th. I requested this since the 14th of June. Since the 14th of June, and I haven't gotten it yet. So it's supposed to take 30 days. At the end of 30 days, they sent me a letter asking for an extension for further 21 days. So it went from 30 to 51. I agreed. I was supposed to get the information on August the 4th. On the 8th of August, I get another request asking for another 21 days for them to compile the information. So now the date that I'm supposed to receive is supposed to be the 25th of August. We'll see. We will see if that will, if I get it, or another request for further extension. So it tells me clearly there has to be, for it to take that long, you must have had a significant number of recusals taking place. But anyway, I see no more on that. Whenever the information comes, we will treat with it. All right? But I just wanted to wrap up that one point there with respect to this firearm users license thing. We are not opposed to persons having firearms, but it has to be in a responsible manner. And it's only because you know that there is like a likelihood, and a very strong likelihood of that, for there to be an upsurge in killings, right, where people will claim self-defense, that you see the need to support your intention to make it easier for persons to access firearm users license by providing them with a law that will enable them to be able to get away with what they do. If you think every law-abiding citizen is going to use the firearm responsibly, then there's no need for stand your ground. Because there are currently laws in place under the Trespass Act and so on that allows persons to utilize reasonable force to defend themselves and to defend their property. Why not use that? You bring in a separate law now that they could claim to say, well, I felt threatened, and because stand your ground says that I don't have to retreat. Stand your ground says that, okay, if it is that I get into a tiff with somebody, that rather than walk away, I could choose to stand up and wait until it gets to the point where I feel my life is in imminent danger, and I could pull out my gun and shoot them. That is what it is. So that when you hear Johnny Abraham say, I ain't telling you what to do, you know, but do what you have to do. Make sure you know what to say after. When the police come and investigating, know what to say. Know what to say. Even if what you're saying is not the truth, know how to craft your story so that it could look like self-defense so you could get away. That is my interpretation of it. When you say know what to say. And we probably have persons who will coach you in what to say. What you can, as an experienced police officer, I know what you could tell me that I will accept and the court will accept as self-defense. So make sure, and when they talk about empty the clip, and I was listening to, I think it was on I-95.5 on Friday, Vision on Mission has a program, and you had some persons who are involved in training persons with the use of firearms, you know, persons with national security background and so on. They were saying, and this is a point that we have made before, if you're going to shoot the person, you feel your life is in danger, you shoot them, okay? They're incapacitated. Fine, you call the police. If the person is incapacitated to the point where you could restrain them, you tie them up, you hog tie them, whatever it is that you want to do, you could do that. You're okay. If in the process, or if while you're waiting for the police to come, based on where the person was shot, they bleed out, you hit a vital organ and they die, okay, a case could be made out. We saw 1 bullet or 2 bullets at best. But if the police come and the whole clip, your clip has 17 bullets in it, and 15 is lodged in the torso of the intruder, you're in problems. Because as I've told you before, ain't no way a man will and stand up and take 15 shots. So if you shoot him after first, second, maybe after the second hit, he will fall. You have to explain how the next 13 bullets end up in him and at close range. And forensics would be able to determine that, well, the first two, this shot and this shot, was probably at 10 feet, 20 feet away. But based on the amount of damage that we see the other 13 bullets causing, it is clear that the person who did the shooting was 5 feet or 2 feet away from the person. So you need to explain that, because at that point it becomes murder. All right? At that point it becomes murder. So take that into consideration. And knowing how the justice system in this country works, when you're telling yourself it's a slam dunk case and you won't get off, you might very well end up collecting dust or in remand, while you sit down in remand for 10, 15 years, waiting for your case to finally call for them to say, well, yes, it was self-defense. But just understand that after that, that's 15 years of your life gone. That's 10 years of your life gone. You can't get it back, right? Because there's no hurry. You're not more special than anybody else in the justice who have been waiting years for the case to call. So when it is that your political leader and members of your party, lawyers in your party, petition the court to make murder a bailable offense, right? Murder, which for years, once you are accused of murder, you're sitting down behind bars until your case called, right? Now, your attorney could go and petition the court to grant you bail, so you could be out on bail while your case is pending. Understand that when the opposition decided to do that, and the excuse, because the supporters of the UNC couldn't defend that, talking about, but what about if the person innocent? You never know, the person could be innocent, and then they had to sit down in jail for all of that time, waiting for the case to call. Right? You had to sit down in prison, waiting for your case to call, for you to make a case of self-defense. So think twice before you empty the clip. Think twice when you want to load up the matic, and you're loading up the matic with the whole mindset, oh gosh, I wish they come and run in my house, boy. And every morning you're praying, Lord, Father, send two of them tonight now. Send two of them today now. I want to use this. Yeah? I want to make news. I want people to praise me because I light them up. And I empty the clip. Yeah. You will be reading it from a cell in remand yard. Go ahead. Anyway, so the former Commissioner of Police, Mr. Gary Griffith, has within recent times, on the issue of persons having been charged with respect to investigations into the issuance of firearm users' licenses, continues to say nobody has been charged. That in 2 years they had investigation, and 2 years later, not one person has been charged with respect to any corruption involved in the issuance of firearm users' license. I don't know if it is Mr. Griffith suffering from Alzheimer's, amnesia, something. Or if it is he don't read the papers, or he's very selective in what he reads. But let me just remind him this morning, right? Because I heard him say that as recently as the meeting, when was it? On Tuesday night they had a meeting, or whatever meeting, the most recent meeting at which he spoke, sometime last week. And he repeated that. Let me just say this. This is an article from the Daily Express dated January 23rd, 2023, this year, entitled 8 Cops Charged in FUL Probe. 8 police officers have been charged in connection with the investigation into issuance of firearms users' licenses. The 8 officers were charged yesterday with the offenses of conspiracy to misconduct themselves in public office. 2 of them, Sergeant David Swanson and ASP Aaron Bello, were previously charged in May 2022 with multiple counts of misbehavior in public office. This is the same Sergeant Swanson who used to be on a radio program, a very popular urban radio station program, talking about police issues and so on, and advising people and whatnot, I assume. This was in relation to allegations of the granting of firearm variations, including the receipt of extra ammunition. The receipt of extra ammunition, but yet still you have the same former Commissioner of Police talking about, well, you know, the Prime Minister saying, well, how much ammunition, but you're limited to only 50 rounds or so on. But here it is, they're talking about persons getting extra ammunition, contrary to what their FUL allows them to have. But he wants to give you the impression it's impossible for persons to be granted permission to have extra ammunition. The Prime Minister talking nonsense, but the FUL probe shows that persons were getting additional ammunition. The Express was told yesterday morning instructions were received by officers of the PSB to charge the 8 officers after attorneys Terry Boyer, Larry Boyer, and Shiva Buru filed habeas corpus writs at the High Court to compel the office of the Commissioner of Police to release the arrested officers. And up to 8:30 p.m. last night, the Express was unable to confirm the identities of the other 6 officers, and their names had not been released by the police service. The investigations were spearheaded by Senior Superintendent Suzette Martin, Sergeant Amir Mohammed, others. The 8 officers were subsequently granted bail by Justice of the Peace at the Aruka Police Station with instructions to appear before the Magistrates Court. More than 26 charges have been so far laid during the course of the investigation. 26 charges during the course of the investigation, Mr. Griffith, which took place in the last 2 years, Mr. Griffith. Okay? So when you come in on your platform to say, after 2 years investigation, not one person has been charged, Mr. Griffith. It's on Google. Go and check it now. But you see, yesterday was yesterday, today is today. And well, anyway, I get into that. The accused who are currently before the courts are PC Lyndon Bishop, charged in August 2021. August 2021, right? Mr. Griffith was still the Commissioner of Police. With 2 counts of soliciting and 2 counts of receiving, Christian Turbani also charged in August 2021, when Mr. Griffith was still the Commissioner of Police, with 1 count of soliciting. Corporal Kareem Jamaluddin charged in September 22 with soliciting $25,000 from a man to expedite FUL. Sergeant Swanson charged in May 2022 with 10 counts of misbehavior in public office. ASP Barrow charged also in May 22 with 5 counts of misbehavior in public office. Charged alongside the officers were civilians Dylan Gosain with 4 counts of uttering forged documents and Mukesh Gosain with possession of firearm for the purpose of trafficking. Yeah, apparently, but it's only PNM good boys is engaging in that crime, right? So I guess Mr. Gosain and Gosain are PNM good boys. Yeah, because remember, anyway. So far, 26 people have been charged in relation to breaches of the Firearms Act relating to the granting of FULs. 26 people so far. But Mr. Griffith telling you, and this investigation started while he was commissioner, but nobody, no. So none of these charges that were laid, none of that took place while you were the Commissioner of Police. And that's what you're telling us, right? Because the process that you put in place was so robust and so foolproof. It had no wrongdoing, no wrong stand-up taking place with respect to the issuance of firearm users licenses while you were there. On Thursday, ASP Gideon Dixon, head of the TNT Police Service Social and Welfare Association, told the Express that the intention of these individuals showed to the public that the executive of the TTPS will be holding everyone accountable no matter who they are. Like that executive didn't include Mr. Griffith. Here what his response was. Griffith, I have never been questioned. Speaking with the Express yesterday, former Commissioner of Police Gary Griffith said he had no direct comment on the charging of the 8 officers as he did not think it fell within his current purview. What is his current purview? He is Citizen Gary. So don't come and ask me nothing about that because I am no longer the Commissioner of Police. Talk to McDonald Jacob or talk to Ulla Christopher. Don't ask me nothing. But you were the same one who's saying nobody was charged. After all that investigation that not one person was charged, Mr. Griffith, are you a stranger to the truth? However, he noted annually dozens of officers are charged via investigations done by the PSB, and it showed that the TTPS was working effectively and was not a unit unto himself. He said many, when they hear anything regarding FUL issues, they will want to link any new incidents reported with me, because I have challenged the laying of the audit report in Parliament. But what is transpiring now with persons being charged has nothing to do with me. The linkage is ironic to me because when I held the office of Commissioner of Police, I simply did my job. There were persons before and after me that did nothing when it comes to clearing up backlogs for FULs and so forth. And at one point, when I was there, we had about 50,000 applicants. And I sought to clear that and brought the number down by 10% by approvals. And to this day, no one can point to me and say that they acquired their firearms via illegal means or they were unqualified yet still received it. That is not what Stanley John's report says. Stanley John's report spoke about a well-oiled criminal enterprise, speaks of a number of persons who were before the court, persons who had matters pending, persons who were known to the police receiving firearms users licenses. In some cases, persons who were underage receiving firearm users licenses, contrary to the Firearms Act. He goes on to say, I have yet to be approached or questioned by the PSB personnel, and that is the point. At no time have I ever been questioned or seen as a person of interest in any way. So if other police officers have been charged, it's only desperate or foolish politicians or those with a political agenda that can blame the former Commissioner of police. So take me out of it. But you're the same ones who keep saying that nobody get charged. That after all that investigation, not one person has been charged, as what you said. But we just read here 26 persons. 26 persons have been charged with respect to malfeasance in public office as it pertains to the issuance of firearm users licenses. At the end of the day, the ultimate signature that determines if this person gets a firearm user's license or not is the commissioner's signature. Unless and until that commissioner's signature is on that document, firearm user's license, nothing. Nothing. No firearm user's license for you. That is why 28 of them now want to sue Erla Christopher for delaying the process because they have provisional and they want to get the full FUL. And they're suing her for that because that signature is important. So no matter what it is you see that process, you have to ensure that when that file comes on your desk for your signature, you must be satisfied that what is in that file is correct. That what is in that file is legit because it is your signature that is going on it. So if afterwards down the road you come in here, people get killed from firearm users licenses that you issued, they're going to say, well, it wasn't my job to do the due diligence before. I assume that when it reached on my desk that it's good, especially when you are aware, even before you went into the police service, we were hearing stories, is not now, of what goes on in that department, how people had to be paying bribes to circumvent the normal situation. Now, he just said in this, when he came there, he met 50,000 applications, 50,000, and he was only able to bring it down by 10% after 3 years. 10%. Under 5,000 issued in 3 years. So my question is, if Mrs. Prasad Bisesa is saying that they intend to make it easier for law-abiding citizens to apply for firearms users licenses, right? It means then that you're going to have a lot more applications. So the Commissioner of Police, who based on the law now, is the only person who could give that final authorization, is going to be bombarded. The TTPS will be bombarded with hundreds of thousands of applications from persons who bought into Mrs. Prasad Bisesa's rhetoric, the dreams that she's selling, that she's going to make it easier. So if you don't have 30 and 40,000 to offer as a bribe, don't worry. They don't need that anymore. You're hearing stories about people applying and waiting 5 and 10 years. Don't worry. That ain't going to happen anymore. So people who would have before said, I mean, don't bother with that now because that is a whole racket and I don't have no money to pay. And it was the sense of applying and then I have to wait 5, 10 years. But now she's telling you, we'll make it easier. So just send in your application and you're good to go. Obviously, you're going to have a barrage of applications. And I keep asking the question. As she said before, they're going to continue the due diligence process. The other night, Gary Griffith listed at least 7 things, 7 steps that you go through in background checks and all of these different things before a person is approved to receive a firearm user's license. And if that is the same process that you're going to use, I asked the question before, are you going to remove some of these steps? Are you going to remove some of these background checks in order to make it easier? Because if the same steps are going to apply, this is what holds up the thing too. Because when it is police officers that come to your home to see where you're going to store the gun, to see where it is that you live in, to talk to your family and talk to your friends and your co-workers and everybody, you know what time that taken up, and then for them to finally prepare this file. If they couldn't deal with a backlog of 50,000 in 3 years, how the hell are you going to deal with a backlog when you have 250,000 or 300,000 or 400,000 applications? How are you going to deal with that to enable people to be able to get firearms users licenses much easier? If it's 50,000 inside, it's taken years. How? If you're not going to amend the system or remove some of the background checks, as obtains in the United States, where it is that you could, no set of background checks depending on which state. You just walk in a store, you're of age, and you buy your gun. And look what is happening. 400 mass shootings so far for the year, right? Because somebody wake up one morning and they just figure, you know what, I fed up with life. Yes, I just want to end it. But I ain't going alone. Let me take a few people with me. So they're always talking about Trinidad, and it's better if it is that you migrate and this country gone to the dogs and Rowley destroy this country. Yeah, you want to pack up your Jahaji bundle and run to the United States, where it is possible, very possible, more so than in Trinidad, that as soon as you land in the airport and your family member pick you up, right, and you're driving out the airport, you could end up a casualty of a shootout. Because some deranged man decide that he go into the airport and he go in the car park, right? And he has his rifle and he just go in and randomly open fire on vehicles passing. Or like what happened in Los Angeles, I think it was, not that, was it Las Vegas or somewhere there, a couple years ago, where they had this open air concert. And some madman decided to rent a room in one of the hotels overlooking the concert, right? And he had all of his rifles there. Open the window. What he did? Open fire on the crowd. Anybody. You don't know anybody, but he just decided, let me see how much I could take out. And you are easy target. So you think you're running away, and he just see you running, okay. And he's an excellent marksman, and you have the target on your back and you don't even know. And the next thing, you're singing with the angels. You even know you're dead. You give you a headshot. You lick up and you don't even know you're dead. Right? But when I talk about America, we want to run to America because Trinidad's so bad. You could go in the mall and get killed. You could go to church and get killed. Your children going to school and they could get killed. You just in the park, you could get killed. Anyway, they have no respect for any place over there. Right? So you could just be going there for 2 weeks vacation, and the next thing you end up a statistic. You make front page in Trinidad, Trini gets killed in whichever state. Why? Because easy access to firearms over there, and somebody just needs to have a bad day and decide today is the day I'm going to end it all. Today is the day. The likelihood of that happening in Trinidad is far less than what happens in the US. We haven't had 400 mass shootings in Trinidad for this year. And they have all of the laws and everything. And why is it that they are unable to control that? They have had more mass shootings than we have had murders for the year. So you're never safe. You could be driving out your home and you're telling yourself you're going to work, and you're going to work and one of your co-workers get on, or one of your co-workers suffering from some mental illness that they didn't have before. They're going through something, and they just decide, you know what, I'm going to work today and I'm going to kill a few of my co-workers and kill myself. Just so. And you think you were just going to another normal day of work, and what happened? You ain't going back home because your co-worker decide he going and take out a few, and you just, unfortunately, you just happen to be there when he or she, well, there's more men doing it. When he decided that, right, I already know. Today, I'm going and do it. Yeah, but let us run across there. That is why Canada has taken stricter laws with respect to the issuance of firearms. So while developed countries like Canada are putting stringent measures in place to reduce the availability of firearms, Kamala Persad is telling you, yes, we'll make it easier. We'll make it easier for you to get, right? So when you're 15-year-old, because you have multiple firearms, and you're training your 15-year-old to use it. Yeah, God, daddy, teach me how to use the gun now. All right, then we go down any range. And you teach him, right? And he know how to access it. Because if you have 3 and 4 and 5, and in some cases we heard some people have 10, as much as 10 firearm users licenses, 10 different firearms. You ain't leaving home with all 10, right? You might walk with 2, probably have 1 on you and you have 1 in the car, which you're not supposed to, because in case your car is stolen or anything like that, so it should be on your person at all times. But you know, somewhere there, have a smaller one, you have it done by your ankle. As we know, some years ago, Ken Gordon had it, his own, done by his ankle, and he lost it. Didn't realize that it had fallen out. We saw, I think it was last year or something, where the former head of the pharmacy board, Andrew Rahman, who also had a firearm, was jogging around the savannah with his gun and it went off, and he was shot in the leg or the foot or something like that. Yeah, these things happen. These things happen. So when you leave and you leave the house with 1 and you have the next 9 home, and your son who knows the code to the safe, right, he decided, well, I need to school today to show it off to my friends. And the next thing you're getting a call, right? Police gone with your son because he came to school with a gun to show it off with his friends. It went off, and somebody child get killed. Somebody child get killed. We're going to say, police come in and take all, because you weren't able to follow the regulations of the FUL. And we know in Trinidad these things will happen. Simply because the shooting that took place the other day, the wife was able, the husband wasn't home. He is the FUL holder. He wasn't home, but she was able to go and get a gun. And then you see that in the most recent story now, they're saying she had no experience in the use of a gun. She was just a crack shot. So we had to believe the husband never gave her any kind of training whatsoever. I saw an article that says that she had no experience. Why? Because he facing a situation now. Well, you had to explain. This is the requirement of the FUL. You were supposed to ensure that the firearm was secured. You are the holder of the FUL. If you want your wife to be able to use it, well, then apply for her to get one. Right? You didn't do that. But she was able to go upstairs or go wherever and retrieve it. And one shot, and she was able to kill a man. And we are supposed to believe she had no experience. She never hold a gun before. Yeah? Never hold it before. Mm-hmm. Like Jimmy Swaggart, he didn't touch. She never touched one. She just happened. She just a natural. First shot, boom, in the head. Wow. That you supposed to, she need to apply to the police service or the army. You real good. Yeah? But just because I didn't want to lose my FUL, I worked so hard to get it. I probably paid some money to get it. To come now to lose it on the basis that I didn't secure it properly as I was supposed to. Or I'm facing a situation where I have to explain how it is my wife is a crack shot. So I had to say, well, just a lucky shot. She didn't do that. She never hold no gun. I never trained her on that. Supposed to believe that, right? So the same way in that circumstance. Now suppose the wife had gone out with the husband and the daughter, I think, is 16 years or whatever, so she old enough to stay home. And the intruders came. Could she have also gone upstairs or gone wherever the gun was and retrieve it? Could she have done that? And would she have been a crack shot like mommy? And we'd have to explain how she's a crack shot too. You never train her to use it either. No. They had no experience. They only watch it and say, wow, that's real nice. And them think it happened. Never a dull moment in Sweet TNT. But there's 2 clips I wanted to play for you, right? Tomorrow is the election. We all know that. And both parties, well, all parties for that matter, have been appealing to the young people in the country to go out and vote. We know there are a lot of young people who will be voting for the first time. Some of them who, when the last local election took place or the last general election took place, they were underaged. So they didn't get to cast a ballot. So you have a lot of them who were excited to go and vote. On both sides. Yeah? Because I recall the first time I could have voted, I was very happy to do it. I was excited to experience the process of dipping my finger. So I don't understand when I hear some of these young people saying, yeah, I know that voting thing and be okay. I was 18 and I was glad to be able to go and cast my ballot, to exercise my franchise. But like we're dealing with a different breed of young people today. I really don't know. But you see, the decision to cast a ballot is an important one, right? Some of these young people, I am seeing videos, TikTok, lives that some people do it. And what I am hearing coming out of the mouths of these young people, my God. Let me tell you something. You see, I made the point before and I will say it again. The UNC propaganda machinery is on point. The PNM could learn a thing or two about that UNC propaganda machinery. They're very good. Very good at misleading. And you know why? Because when they put their nonsense out there, put out their lies and their misinformation about the government and about the PNM, unfortunately, PNM is not quick to respond or to debunk. In some cases, it seems like we just, whatever, yes, we ain't dealing with it. Yeah, that was a natural death, that is a 9-day wonder, forget about that. We don't need to respond. While you thinking you don't need to respond to it, it is growing. It is taking root in the minds of some of the young people who listening, right? By the time it reached to them, the story become so convoluted that how it started is not how it reached into them. The amount of additions that it got, by the time it reached to them, you don't even know. If you had dealt with it from early on, at least somebody could have gone and pull up something to say, well, look, that way telling me that is not true, that's a lie. Look, the PNM put out whatever. I want you all to listen to this misguided young lady, right? I'm going to pull this up here. She's just one of several I've seen within recent times. But why I'm concerned about this and why I feel the need to play this. This young lady on Facebook, she on Instagram, she on TikTok, and when she does a live, in some cases, I pulled up one of her TikTok lives that she did that was embedded in Facebook. 138,000 views. 138,000 views for a 4-minute clip. You understand how far and wide this thing going, right? And who are the people who are most inclined to be on TikTok? It's not the 40 and 50-year-olds and those of us in our late 30s and so on. No, it's not us. It is the young people in the teens and in the 20s who are being influenced because they don't care to hear what I say and what Keith Rowley saying and stuff. That's who they're listening to. Listen to this young lady. Let me get this here. Poor misguided soul. Let me get this here. I don't know where she gets her information from. It's unfortunate. Let's unmute this here. Send this up.
Some light on something about our loving Mr. Keith Rowley. Only realize that it have nothing being said, sung about him or anything. All the time it had meme song. He was the talk of the country and outside. Now, all of a sudden, all of that cool down and he ain't saying nothing. All they don't know why. Because this man mission complete. Like all they ain't saying his mission is complete. What it was, he buy a jet or a plane or some kind of thing? So the man buy houses, the man traveling all over the world. He makes sure that his generation is set. And all ain't even realizing that. His generation set and your generation going and suffer. Think about it. The man has everything. He don't make sure everything put in place. The money, the house, the cars, the everything. And all you're still voting for this man. And he is not making sure you have the house, the cars, the everything. The food in your cupboard. Everything going up. And what is he doing? He is making sure that these people get away with it. The tax man laughing. And he want to say he going and steady. Ministry of Education going and steady. Everybody going and steady. I'm just laughing. So everybody who hype up and talking about, oh, you understand? We're going and vote PNM out, or I'm not voting. You do realize when you don't vote, it's going to go to PNM, right? Oh God, please go and vote. That's why it is important to vote. I've fed up telling all you this. It is important to go vote. Anyway, right? Point blank, what I am trying to tell all you is that when all you vote for this man, all you going to make sure he third, fourth, and fifth generation set for life. But all you want to be set for life, you know what's going to happen? So all you, we will be living a life in Trinidad. You understand? Like if we live in Hiltons or in Hollywood, and all you don't even have Hilton and Hollywood money. That is the whole thing about it, eh? All you will have to pay high prices for things, and all you don't even have the money to pay for that. Guess what? Because the 1% will always be in charge. The poor people do not matter. Poor people, in their eyes, do not exist. I don't know when all you will realize that. Everything that they do, you understand, is to benefit the 1%. It is not to benefit the poor people. And I need all you to understand this, and I'm going to say it twice. It is not to benefit the poor people. They will promise all your dreams. You understand? Around election time. Promise all your dreams. And then right after, all the evil deeds they had to do, they're going and turn on all you. And all you just see them turning on all you, and all you still voting, and I do not understand this. Why vote for a party and all you're seeing what's going on with all you're seeing that all your generation is going to feel it. Suffering is the future. So come on now, vote for a party that all you know will change the country. I'm not saying that you have to vote UNC, but you could vote for other party and give them a chance to it. Come on now, think.
And she looks like she could be in her 20s, probably early to mid 20s. Right? She's a social media influencer. As I said, when she does a live, it is shared thousands of times. It is viewed hundreds of thousands of times. Hundreds of thousands of times. Yeah? So she has greater reach than most of us, like myself, like Juliet, like John Benoit and John Gill, and others, Rhoda Barrett and stuff. We don't get them kind of views, 100 and something thousand. Not that we fighting on views, but I am saying that when you have this kind of nonsense going out there, and you have young people listening to this, because I wouldn't subscribe to her page. I'm not on TikTok, and I have no intentions of going on TikTok. But if I did, I wouldn't subscribe to her page. But I'm sure if you were to go through who her followers are, you will see it is young people like herself and younger, because she says things and she does things that resonates with them, and she knows how to reach that demographic. And when you have that type of misinformation influencing the minds of citizens, how the hell you expect to convince those young people to go out and vote tomorrow or to support the right party? You feel you could convince her to go and vote for the PNM? She already has it in her mind. Because I saw another one where she talks about, well, even though in this clip she said, well, yeah, no, I am telling you to vote for the UNC, but give another party a chance. Which party? Who? Who's the other party they give a chance? The PEP? The NTA? Same UNC. Well, PEP is not UNC, but at one time he was there in 2015 until they fall out. But give another party a chance. Why? Because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're confused. And coming to talk about the PNM and the PNM. When did Dr. Rowley buy a jet or a plane for himself? When did he do that? This is the first I am hearing of that. Right? But clearly she heard that somewhere. And it was so convincing that she felt she needed to do a live to tell other people that Keith Rowley buy a jet or he buy a plane. She felt compelled to do that. And talking about because he fixed and he had the house and he had the cars and so on. How did Dr. Rowley come by these things? Dr. Rowley is the only politician that have a house and car and so on. Is he? Mrs. Prasad Bissasa's Pink Palace is much bigger than Dr. Rowley's modest home in Goodwood Park that he bought since 1985 for $600,000. I am pretty sure Prasad Bissasa's house didn't cost $600,000. So Dr. Rowley would have purchased his house back then. But now you could find a house in Goodwood Park for $600,000. You can't even find a dog kennel in Goodwood Park for $600,000. Right? But he was smart back then to put his money to good use as a black man. Understanding the potential of that area where it is today, where houses are being sold for kind of 12 and 15 and 20 plus $1 million. He has a house that he purchased for $600,000 that is today, because of the area having become developed, is worth plenty more. But you want to chastise a black man for that. Right? So he done fix. Yeah, he done have the house and the cars and the money and whatnot and stuff. He worked hard for that. As he said, there's never been a day since he started working, there's never been a day in his life when he was broken. He inherited property in Tobago from his grandfather and he made good use of it. He made good use of it. He didn't do like some people of his race who, when they inherit property, they feel they need to go and sell it to buy a motor car. He didn't do that. He invested in the property. Today, he owns a farm, a sheep. I think he have goat and sheep on his farm in Tobago, planting crops too. And people like Wade Mark have a problem with that. Rowley have a house and a farm in Tobago, and he making money from that too, and you have a problem. So the Prime Minister collecting 2 salaries. So he's collecting a salary as a Prime Minister, and he earning income from his farm, from the property that he inherited from his grandfather and put use to it. No, Wade Mark would have preferred that he sell it back then and buy motor car. And today that motor car would have been no more, right? And somebody else would have been profiting off of what he is profiting off of today. But he's not supposed to do that. Do you have an issue with that? Yeah? So they want to go and take pictures, as the Prime Minister said. They didn't have drone in them times. They hire a plane to go and take pictures, aerial surveillance of his property in Tobago to come and make kuchu run back and have to say, oh, let's see what Rowley have. Look what Rowley have. How he pay for that. But Rowley wouldn't do that and send drone over the Pink Palace so we could see the helicopter, the helipad, and all these different things. And I put it to you, Keith Rowley house in Goodwood Park could probably fit comfortably in Kamla backyard in Philippines, but Rowley wouldn't talk about that. The same house that she couldn't finish in 10 years. She a lawyer and her husband a doctor. 10 years you couldn't finish it, but as soon as you become Prime Minister, it completed under a year and it grew. It grew. And we're supposed to believe it's because of your prime ministerial salary that you were able to complete that in a year. But I thought lawyers and doctors in this country just make plenty money. Well, she and her husband must have been the only 2 scrunting lawyers and doctors that have in this country. That it take you 10 years to build your house, madam, but no scrutiny for that. So this young lady isn't aware that Kamla have house and money and car. No, it's only Rowley have that. And there's nonsense. And you know what's unfortunate about that too? You have persons in the UNC who will share that, right? Who will share that. And they know better. Because if Keith Rowley had purchased a private jet or he had purchased a plane, we would have heard about that from the UNC long time. Right now, they're trying to make an issue about the Prime Minister having a townhouse that he paid $1.2 million for in Tobago. They're making a big issue about that. You feel they would not make an issue about the Prime Minister buying a private jet? When Mr. Manning wanted to buy a private jet, not for his personal use, but for the use of the Prime Minister, whoever the Prime Minister would be after him, for use of ministers, and he said when it is that government officials in Trinidad and Tobago aren't using it, instead of you having the jet just park up in Piaco waiting to be used, it could have been leased out to regional leaders, other prime ministers, and other government officials in other Caribbean territories, so that it could pay for itself. And we would have set up a regional executive jet service in Piaco. So we could have probably buy 2 or maybe more and offer that service throughout the region, not just to governments, but to private citizens with money who want to use that facility of a private jet. And the government could have been earning income from that, as well as those rentals, those leases would have paid for the upkeep of the jets. So eventually it would have been paying for itself and not the state having to pay. So that when Mrs. Prasad Bisesa became Prime Minister, instead of every time she had to make a long-range trip, she had to pull a whole jumbo jet out of service by Cal to go to India, to go to China, to go to South Africa, to go to Australia, to go to Brazil. And every time she took one of these jumbo jets that could hold in some cases between 156 to 200 and something persons, and you're carrying 40 something persons on that flight, the whole plane empty. When that plane should have been used full to capacity by Caribbean Airlines and earning income, you pull a whole jumbo jet out of service, right? So you could fly like if it's your private jet. So you don't have to do no layover, and you don't have to sit down on the plane with no strangers and stuff, as Keith Rowley has done every single time from the time he became Prime Minister in 2015 to now. Whenever he leaves the country, he book a flight and he go on the normal plane, commercial with everybody else. Everybody else. Of course, he is the Prime Minister, so he'd probably go business class, right? He wouldn't go down in the back end economy, but he would go in business class. But he flying on DC, he not taking a whole plane for himself and costing taxpayers $2 and $3 million every time to take a plane out of service, as Mrs. Prasad Bisesa did. And then Caribbean Airlines now have to go and wet lease another aircraft to replace the one that she took out of service. That while she is in whichever country she is in, park up in the airport, wherever she is, waiting until she finish her trip to take her back. In the meantime, while it park up there, making no money, but the cost to you, the taxpayer, accruing. You understand? Because you had to pay for fuel and the crew and all of these different things. So when she went to South Africa, it is we, the citizens of this country, who had your taxpayers' dollars. When at the end of the month, when you watch your pay slip and you see on the PAYE money come out and you're griping because you worked so hard and a whole chunk of that had to go to the Board of Inland Revenue or the taxman that Miss Lady just spoke about. That money that you work hard for, that gone to the taxman, she taking it for a whole aircraft to fly. But you didn't want Manning to buy an executive aircraft that could have been available for your use, so you wouldn't have to interfere with Caribbean Airlines operations to take a whole aircraft out of service, so you could fly like your Joe Biden or any of these other leaders, world leaders who have their own aircraft. But all who was complaining, oh, Manning want to buy a private jet because he figure he's an emperor and all of that, had nothing to say when Mrs. Prasad Bisesa was doing that. Her grandchild get to fly in a whole jumbo jet to Brazil for the World Cup. Some of you who supporting her. Your grandchild have a passport? Some of you, your grandchild, the only time he ever sit down in a plane was in Coney Island. That's the only plane they know about. But her grandchild went all the way to Brazil in a nice big jumbo jet. He had his choice of seats. He could have run up and down the island, play himself. If he didn't want to sit down in business class, he could have run down and sit down with his tablet or whatever it is and cock up his foot and stretch it out on 3 seats, courtesy you, the taxpayer. But your grandchild never even see the inside of a plane and want to come and tell me I must vote for that. I must vote for another 5 years of that. But Bex and talking about, oh, some all you only talking about 2010 to 2015, let we deal with what's happening now. It is all of this wastage that took place between 2010 to 2015 have us where we are today. If Keith Rowley had done some of those things that she did, we would not hear the end of it. You would not have heard the end of it. Oh, we wasting taxpayers' money, right? But he goes to the airport and like everybody else, when time to board the plane, he walks through and he sit down. And everybody else watching and passing him, some will be cussing, and when they reach down in the economy, but then you didn't see Rowley up in front there. You didn't see Rowley thing. He don't care. He traveling commercial like everybody else. Having to go through the airport. The other day when where was it, boy? Where somewhere he went, I can't remember. When it is that they wanted him and the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Raul Gonzalez, to come to the counter to present the passport and all kind of thing. And all they laugh at him. Rowley, they don't care about Rowley this, Rowley that, Rowley what. No. Yeah, but he flew commercial. And that flight didn't cost you what Kamala Persad-Bissessar cost us. $15 million is what it cost taxpayers for her trip to India. And she carried 40-something people with her. A whole entourage to try and justify spending $15 million. When she went South Africa, your taxpayers' money pay for all those other Caribbean prime ministers who she decided to pick up the phone. Hey, we're going Mandela funeral. You wanna come? Nah, you had to pay nothing, man. I taken a whole jet from Caribbean Airlines so I could pass and pick you up. You for that? Yeah? All right, no problem. Well, we gonna pick you up. We'll make the arrangements. So she go in island hopping, right? To pick up this leader and that leader. And then when they come on the plane now, she sit down right there and have Ms. Gideon Hanuman Singh and who narrating and whoever the camera crew. And each prime minister to come and sit down next to her and pay obeisance and talk about how grateful they are for Mrs. Persad-Bissessar giving them this opportunity to fly with her to go to the funeral of Nelson Mandela. At whose expense? You, Mr. Taxpayer, me, yes, at our expense. We didn't have that privilege. But it's your money that you're working hard for that pay for that. Not the citizens of Barbados, not the citizens of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, not the citizens of Grenada or St. Kitts or any of these other Caribbean countries. Their citizens then had to put out no money. Yes, you, the Trinidadian and Tobagonian taxpayer, it's your taxpayer money pay for them to joyride to go to South Africa. But if Keith Rowley had done that, Ole would have raked him over the coals. But we give Kamala a free pass for that and a clap. And give her a free pass and a clap. And that was all right. That was okay. Flying up and down in helicopter because you want to live in the Prime Minister residence. Because Manning and Hazel stayed there. When you first thing you become Prime Minister, you get rid of everything, all the bed and the mattress, you can't sleep on that. Furniture and all kind of thing. Brand new, because remember the Mannings didn't stay there for very long. All of these things you put out. You bring in new thing. For what? For Vidwati, your sister, your nurse. For her to enjoy it while you flying in helicopter playing Queen Elizabeth II. Yeah. Flying from Queen's Park Savannah to Philippines and from Philippines to Queen's Park Savannah. And when you reach there in the morning, on the 2 or 3 days for the week that you're working, right, the whole prime ministerial entourage waiting there for you. Yeah? And you jump in the car and you just go around the Savannah to your office. You spend 2 hours there, if so long. Clearly he wasn't doing work because Dr. Rowley told us when he came in, it had a pile of files almost as tall as him, waiting for prime ministerial signatures. Stuff that you should have signed off on. Thing that he don't know nothing about. He's now being called upon to sign off on things that took place under you. No wonder why you weren't aware of what was happening in your government. No wonder why you didn't know that the Nikwan deal was done under you, negotiated under your government. That it was your government, your Ministry of Energy, and the Petrotrin board appointed by you that sold Nikwan, the gas to liquids plant to Nikwan for the 10 million US and the 25 million in preference shares as the case may be. Your government did that. Maybe if you had gone through the pile of files, you would have seen that and wouldn't have make a complete backside of yourself a few years later when you want to come and say, you want to know what due diligence Coleman did. That wasn't his responsibility. That didn't happen under him. That happened under you. But you wouldn't know that. You could have taken some of the files, and when it is that you're in the helicopter heading home, you could have go through some of them. $6.5 million of taxpayers' money for that. Over 600 and something flight hours, 400 and something trips taken. Since Keith Rowley had become Prime Minister, on one occasion, he went on a helicopter. And it didn't cost taxpayers anything. He went at the behest of Woodside. They were taking him on a tour of one of their offshore platforms, and he went in their helicopter or helicopter that they would have leased to take him there. No other helicopter ride. Yeah? But Keith Rowley is the worst Prime Minister in this country history. They have an issue, he spent money to buy Mercedes. How much time does he use it? Today or tomorrow, he decides to leave the Prime Minister's position. Whoever comes after him, that vehicle is there. If they put her in office in 2025, it's there for her to use. He ain't going with it. That is not his own. And I'm pretty sure it's not going to be smelling of vomit and urine and stale alcohol. Right? Practically brand new. The only time he uses it is maybe 2 or 3 times a year when they have certain functions. So you would see him use it if it is their foreign heads of government here, and he has to attend that function, the Independence Parade, but most of the time, is the SUV, the Lexus or whatever it is, SUV, that would also be there for whoever comes after him. He ain't taking it with him. But this young lady, she don't know about that. Right? She don't know about that. So when it is I hear people talking about the state of the roads is the worst the country has ever seen, the roads could fix, you know. The roads could fix. But you see, for the roads to fix, Keith Rowley would have to do, and the PNM would have to do what it is the People's Partnership did. Incur debt, and don't tell the population nothing. Put the exchequer account in permanent overdraft. Permanent overdraft from 10 billion in 2010 to 33 billion when they leave. But her supporters don't ever talk about that. So it's at 33 billion when this government came in 2015. So in order for them to come out of overdraft, it means this government has to make enough money to pay for everything that needs to be paid for and make an additional $33 billion extra to be able to pay off that overdraft. When has the government ever earned extra 33 billion? Last year was the first time we had a budget surplus in 14 years of just over $1 billion. So we're still 32 billion short. 32 billion short to fix that mess that they left. Don't take my word for it. It is in the Auditor General's report. But all you had time to go and read that. You're not interested in the Auditor General's report except to talk about Couture and Bacchanal about zipline in Tobago. Yes, then all you know about Auditor General report. But when all of the kind of expenditure that they undertook, paying millions of dollars renting building here, there, and everywhere from the same 1% that you heard this young lady talk about, that Rowley only care about the 1%, right? But she, you know, that Auditor General's report, you will see all the buildings they were renting all over the place and never used it. But millions and tens of millions of taxpayers' dollars went down the drain. The same, that money went in the same 1% pocket. She didn't have a problem with the 1% then. She didn't have a problem with them then. When it is that she hosted big party at the Prime Minister's residence for the same 1% to praise them and talk and tell about if the rest of Trinidad and Tobago will like them, how much better and brighter and more prosperous Trinidad and Tobago will be. Keith Rowley never do that. Or they could send me a clip or an article talking about Keith Rowley holding any, let me see if I pull it up here. Keith Rowley holding any, let me see if I get it here. Let me get it here. I never see Keith Rowley hold no party for them. What I see is that Keith Rowley continues to put government ministries and government departments in state-owned property, taking rental income out of the pockets of the 1%. So if there's anybody for the 1% to be upset with, is Keith Rowley. Not Kamala Persad-Bissessar. She was putting money in their pocket. So I'm trying to find this thing here, buddy. Let me see if I could find it. I know I've played this many times before, but sometimes some people just need I see it here, you know. But anyway, you all know what I'm talking about. Let me see. I want to try one more thing. No, I didn't see it. I gotta play it for you all another time. So I'm gonna try one more thing here, and if I can see it, well. Okay, I'm not seeing it here. So I'll probably play it for you all maybe on Tuesday. But I continue to make the point so that when you all want to know about why the road's bad, He probably could do the very same thing, Yeah. He could go and take 16 billion from NGC bank account, assuming NGC have that kind of money this time around, because the money that NGC made under this administration is not what they made under the PP administration. So he could go and raid the bank account and fix the road, but we're going to hear about that, because all you don't want him to borrow money to fix the roads, you don't want him to take from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund to fix the road, and you don't want him to increase any new taxes, bring any new taxes to get the money to pave the road, right? So oil prices is lower than what it was. And as I on the point of oil prices, let me let some people know that when you all see on the evening news the price of a barrel of oil, and figure here, say, there's so much money really getting a barrel. No. This country produces less than 100,000 barrels of oil per day. That is Heritage and all of the other oil companies, BP and Shell and Touchstone and whoever else, all of the farm out contractors like AV and all of them, less than 100,000 barrels of oil per day. You understand? And when the countries that the companies like BP and Shell, when they sell their oil, the government doesn't get, if it's $80 a barrel, is the current price, the government doesn't get $80 a barrel. What the government gets from that is a share of that in the form of taxes and royalties. But the largest sum, the bulk of that money goes to the companies who found the oil and who find the gas. It's not ours. Because we would have offered them acreage, they come and they bid, they're successful in the bid, the government says, go for it now, spend your money, you drill, you find, and whatever you find, you sell, and you give us a portion of it in the form of taxes and royalties. You know what Ms. Pisabi Sessa and her government did between 2010 to 2015? They say, here what? We have all this acreage here. Petrotrin don't have the money and they don't have the wherewithal to be able to go and explore all of this acreage to find oil and gas. So we want Ole to come to Trinidad, spend all your money, drill, find oil, find gas. And whatever money Ole spend to find the oil and find the gas, when you sell it, you could write off your expenditure for drilling to find this oil and gas, write it off against any taxes and royalties that you were supposed to pay us. Write it off. So if it is you spent $100 million US to drill this well, and you get some oil and gas there, and you sell it, right? And you're supposed to pay us in 2020, you're supposed to pay the government $20 million or $30 million in royalties, write it off against the $100 million that you spent to drill the well. But we're still in a deficit, 70 million. So we'll roll it over. So you can roll it over until you use it up. Right? That's what they did. Keep rolling it over until you write off what, so basically, is we, the citizens of this country, end up spending the money to drill the well. Because she has given them an avenue, an opportunity to claim back through taxes and royalties, whatever money they spend. Now, all this time they're selling the oil and selling the gas and so on. It's not like when they finish that all that oil and gas just comes back, right? It's not like your tank empty and you just fill it back up thanks to WASA. When that gone, it gone. When it gone, it gone. So we still ended up paying for them to drill. And you tell them, well, okay, yeah, look the sweetheart deals that we offer you and the concessions. Write it off. And then only after you write it off now, then we will start to collect. But for all the oil and gas that you don't sell in the years that you were trying to recoup, we get nothing from that. And they have no hope to come back there. Hence the reason the exchequer account was in overdraft, because they ain't getting no taxes, they ain't getting no royalties because there's sweetheart concessions they gave. So you had to find other places. So then, back then, Joala didn't have no problem opening the tap for them. Huh? Yes, he didn't have no problem opening the tap. You want more? No problem. We go increase the overdraft. Look, the highest it's ever been in the country history. All them things Manning built. All them things. Manning built waterfront. He built Chancery Lane, Napa, Sapa. He built school. He built house. He built Prime Minister's Residence and Diplomatic Center. He built the Brian Lara Cricket Academy. All them things he built, and never take the exchequer account in deficit to the point that Passad Bisesan, her government did. It's in the Auditor General's report. Go and see. At the end of 2009, the exchequer account, the balance was 10 billion in overdraft, the highest it had ever been. Prior to that, it was about 5 billion, from 2003, or about 5 billion averaging per year. Something that could have easily been cleared off once the government, if Mr. Manning was still the Prime Minister 2010 to 2015, and the kind of money that was earned in those years, and based on how he was spending, that overdraft would have been cleared, and the exchequer account would have been in the red, not the black. It's in the black, sorry, not the red. But all you put her there to do that. So now, Colin Burt can't fix that. Because for Colin Burt to fix that, we have to come like Guyana. The government had to find plenty oil and plenty gas to be able to earn the kind of income that you need to clear that overdraft. But in the meantime, while so long as that overdraft stays where it is, you know what's going to happen? Interest is accruing. So every year, $5 billion paid in interest, not just for that, but they have other debts that they would have incurred. The loan that they took for the Cuba hospital from the Chinese, this government had to start to pay that in 2018. The loan that they take for the aquatic center, the loan that they take for the cycling velodrome in Cuba, because it seems all the major infrastructural projects that they undertook was paid for taking loans. They didn't know what debt to GDP ratio then, but today, all of a sudden, the supporters know what debt to GDP ratio. So this government mustn't borrow. But Prasad Bisesa and the PP were borrowing like it had no tomorrow. And this government now has to find the money from scarce resources to be paying interest. We talk principal yet, interest, $5 billion a year. You know how much road that could have paid? Consider the last 8 years by $40 billion, almost 1 year's budget spent in paying interest on loans, interest on debt. You know how much road, which every blasted road in this country is supposed to be perfect with that kind of money. Instead, it has to be going down the drain on interest. But her supporters ain't know about that. Nah, vote for Kamala. Best government, the best prime minister ever. She gave the children laptop. 95,000 students get laptop, right? Yeah. But the same students who she gave laptops to who have since graduated from secondary school, you know what Rowdy telling them? Come, Kamala give all your laptop. But I have something else for you. I've given only 2 years in UE to go and study agriculture. And when you come out from that, when you finish and you graduate from that program, you know what I given you? I given you a house, I given you land, and I given you money to start your business, your farmer's license. That's what I given you. Compare that to the laptop that Kamala give you. Which one you prefer? But we're rating up the laptop. Yes, we gave out laptops and Rowley stopped the laptops. So you give them laptop up to Form 5. And what happens after they leave Form 5? What are they supposed to do? Sit down home holding the laptop, and yeah, they could eat the laptop. Sell it because they finish school, they don't need it anymore. What are they supposed to do with it? What programs did you put in place so when they finish secondary school so that they could earn an income? So they get the passes, all the passes, because you say education is the passport out of poverty. So they get the passport. What are they supposed to do now? Where they get any money from to take the trip? You didn't study that, you didn't reach that far. No, so they could go and get pregnant and apply for the baby grant, $500 a month. So you have your passport out of poverty. Now you can apply for the Columbia Orange program, $69 a day for 3 months. And you could go out to live sport and collect a stipend of $1,800 a month. For what? For what? You already have your pass in English and maths. What are you supposed to do? We didn't think that far. But we boasting how much schools we built. How much schools we built. But when it is for them to go to university now, you put anything in place for the same students for them to get a laptop? What about those who are in university and need money to buy a laptop? What are they supposed to do? You didn't reach that far. You didn't think that they need a laptop more than the secondary school students because you didn't incorporate the use of the laptop into the curriculum. But guess what? University students need the laptop more. What you put in place for them? You know what Keith Rowley did? He took VAT off of laptops, cell phones, tablets, computers to assist them. That's what he did. So while you beating your chest and boasting, you take VAT off of 7,000 food items. And in 7 months, that was eroded. The benefit of that was eroded. Right? He'd already tell them, well, look, I will take VAT off of all of these devices to make it cheaper so that you all could buy a laptop to go and study. You don't need to depend on the government. But put them back. That was good governance. Good governance, PP style. Put them back. And then we're talking about, what's this? Yellow is the code? Blue is the code? Okay. Right. The mega farms that they shut down. Because the government shouldn't be competing with the private sector. And, yeah, yellow is the code. Here's the code. Go down to Tucker Valley. Go down to Tucker Valley. Look at one of the mega farms, right? They have a very nice restaurant there now of selling real nice food. And also right behind the restaurant, they have a nice big paved area. You might see some big equipment inside there. The owners rent and leasing some space there to house those. How much money you, the taxpayer, getting from that? How much you getting from that? Because Mrs. Pasad Bissessa decide, well, here what, I will give you this land, 100 acres. How much you paying a year? $1? Because remember that was the price down there. Take 35 acres. Man only paying $3,800 a month when he should be paying $500,000. 4 acres to build a car park, $1 a year. So the onion man, the 100 acres, how much he paying a year? Why you don't go down there and go to the restaurant and order food and then say, well, I'm a taxpayer and this is the state land. So I own this land. So the meal is free. Why don't go and do that? And see if the police leave there in handcuffs. Yeah, but Rowley, according to this young lady, Rowley only care about the 1%, right? Which 1% Rowley give 100 acres of land to? Which one? Tell me now. Which one he give 35 acres to? Which one did he give 4 acres to for $1 here? Which one? Which one did he say, take 4 acres, build a car park and then lease it back to the CDA, your landlord, for $900,000 a month, whether the car park make that money or not? Which one did Rowley? Who Rowley gave that to? I'm waiting. Who talking about blue is the code and yellow is the code? Tell me now, which 1% did he do that for? As far as I know, the man who got the 100, Rowley take back 50 acres. 50 acres he take back. Yeah? That will now form part of the homestead program. So the same young people who she talking about, I think I had nothing for them. Probably the 50 acres he take back, that too will be incorporated, and the young people will be benefiting from that. So they could go and plant and do what it is the land was originally intended to do. Plant food, sell domestic, and if you have excess, you could export through agro-processing and make money and become a millionaire. So when Keith Rowley say, the rich, nothing wrong with the rich getting richer. He never said the rich must get richer. He said there is nothing wrong with the rich getting richer, but the poor must come out of poverty. How they coming out of poverty with a second-rate laptop? Tell me now. How they coming out of poverty with the baby grant, $500 a month that she's saying she will bring back if you put her back in office? How $500 a month to buy milk and Pampers bringing you out of poverty? She wouldn't say it, but it took a brave prime minister to say it. The poor must come out of poverty. How are you coming out of poverty with $69 a day in Colony Orange? How are you coming out of poverty earning $1,800 a month before NIS come out in CPEP? How are you coming out of poverty when you're getting 10 days once a month or every quarter or whatever? How are you coming out of poverty with that? All these are the things that Mrs. Pasad Bissessa is offering to the at-risk youth. To the at-risk youth, that is what she's offering to them. How are you coming out of poverty with that? She shut down the Civilian Conservation Corps, you shut down the youth camps and all of these things. How do you expect them to come out of poverty? How are you expecting them to come out of poverty earning a stipend of what, $1,800 a month in live sport? How would that bringing them out of poverty? I can see how the homestead program bringing them out of poverty, right? Because they have the skills to do it, they have the land for free and the money to start their business and further financial support if they need it through other state agencies. That is how you bring them out of poverty. Not just by old talk. I'm talking about the government remove school feeding and the government remove the book grant and all of these kind of things. So you know what? The parents who working in the low income jobs, let us keep giving them grants to support them. So there is no motivation for them to come out of poverty because A, they're getting a food card with $500 and they're getting baby grant for another $500 and probably one or two other grant. They'll get a little house grant to change the roof and buy some floorboards, as the case may be, or put up some blocks, yeah, so that they could put up a indoor toilet facility as opposed to the latrine and just keep them comfortable. Just keep them comfortable. You don't want to create a situation where they're motivated now to go and do something additional to come out of poverty. Because the minute they come out of poverty, we no longer have control over them. They have no carrot that we could dangle, no grant that we could dangle in front of them as a carrot for them to abandon the PNM and vote for the UNC. For them to say the PNM ain't giving them nothing and they're doing nothing for them. But now that the PNM doing for them, well, they have a problem. Homestead program is what she said, is voter pardon. Yeah, because you're taking PNM people, so they say, and putting them in UNC constituencies because a lot of the land is located in UNC constituencies. Why? Because UNC constituencies are largely rural. That's where all the available land is. But they're putting them there so that they could increase the PNM numbers, rather than you encourage the young people. Encourage them. And if it is the PNM, say, well, all right, we want to set up a situation where we expect to see a certain number of persons of African descent, at-risk youth, applying to this program. Well, you're ready to run to the courthouse. And you're ready to run to the Equal Opportunities Commission to say the PNM discriminating, practicing discrimination. And, yeah, that is what we're supposed to vote for. That's what we're supposed to vote for. Nothing as substance. And we give out guns so we could kill off the at-risk youth. Because they're pests, and there's nothing else we could do to save them. There's nothing else we could do. So let me get rid of them. Remember, when it is they used to be killing each other, before the upsurge in the home invasions, when they were killing out each other, you know what they say? Yeah, well, that good. Let them kill out each other. When they're dead, that'll bring an end to the crime situation. Being care, black on black crime is a set of PNM bandits killing PNM bandits. So that's okay. That's all right. We have no problem with that. Once they don't come in our community, let them stay in Lavantel and beat them and Silas and kill each other. We're not concerned. We're not concerned about them. They are beyond help. So keep them there. But the 6.5 million for the helicopter ride couldn't help them. That money couldn't help them. Huh? We're talking about the state of the prisons and how much at-risk youth in the prisons. But when it is the prison conditions, it's such that when they come out, it's like, yeah, they hardened. So they hate society now, having had them to endure that situation. But in 2013, the same People's Partnership Administration, whose Attorney General is today suing the government, suing the state for 3.5 million apiece for 9 men acquitted of killing Vindra Naipal Coolman. Suing them, why? Because the state of the prisons was such that it affected them mentally. The same state of the prisons that when he was Attorney General say, jail make the right fig. He had no problem with the state of the prisons then. Today, he on the other side, the state of the prisons, the conditions in the prisons is inhumane. And he believes that these people should be compensated for that to the tune of $3.5 million each. But you all commissioned a task force in 2013 to go to the prisons, led by Ramesh Diosaran and others, to go and inspect the prisons, to see the conditions, to do a whole report. Well, they pay millions of dollars for that. The report came in, telling you about the state of the prisons and the conditions in the prisons. Cabinet, what did you all do to fix it? Maybe if it is that you have fixed the problem, taken the recommendations that were made in that report, today we wouldn't be facing a lawsuit because the prison conditions would have been improved. And these 9 men could now come and say the state of the prisons was so horrible that it sent me mad. Jail make the right fig. The $88 million that you spent for the waste that time fence in Aruka, right, by Golden Grove there, if you had taken that $88 million and invested it inside the prison instead of outside the prison, we might not have been facing a lawsuit today, right? Because that could have $88 million could have done a hell of a lot to improve prison conditions. But you build a fence. Who benefit from that? Any prisoner? No. Yes, whoever get the contract. Like themselves, millions of dollars to put up a fence to guard Wakano, Shining Bush, Fever Grass, and whatever bush you could find inside it. Yes. And the supporters clap that and want to tell us. So when they want to come and say, well, we're talking about yellow is the code and blue is the code, and tell us we're voting on race, it's nothing to do with race, no. We remember that. All them things I talk about it, we remember that. And we know the intention is to come back with that times 10. As stated in your 2020 manifesto. A lot of what it is you were doing between 2010 and 2015, so proud were you of it, you have indicated in your manifesto for 2020, and the same manifesto you're bringing back in 2025 with 1 or 2 adjustments to tell us is the same thing we should expect. And I promised that I would continue to interrogate that manifesto, where everything you're reading, we will invite the private sector. We will invite the private sector. We will invite the private sector. Everything they plan to invite the private sector to do, not government. Understand that when you invite the private sector, what that means. So while they want to say that the PNM and Rowley costing people their jobs, one of the plans that they have in their manifesto is all of these state enterprises that not making money is either shut it down or invite the private sector to take over the management. And once the private sector gets involved, the first thing they're talking about is restructure. And restructure, the first thing they talk about is sending home people. First thing. So plenty of all you who working in some of these state enterprises that not making money. Prepare all yourself. Make sure you update your resume and your CV because you're going to need it. Put them back in office in 2025, and within the space of a year, you're going to need your CV and your resume to be sent out because you will be out of a job. So all who don't want to read the manifesto and see what they have inside there, and when they come back into office, if God forbid, they come back into office, you see things rolling out and they say, but they never say this and they never say that. Yes, they said it. It is in bold, in black and white, in the manifesto. They didn't talk about it, but it was there. You chose not to read the manifesto. You chose not to educate yourself about what they are offering you if they come back in office in 2025. So don't come and say, well, they didn't say, we didn't know. It was there for you to read. So they didn't mislead you, But they know you have no time to read because you're intellectually lazy and you're not interested. So you only taking chin up, old talk from the Doglaya, from the three clowns, Dumb, Dumb, and Dotish on the Underground Report. And this next two that they have on 91.9. Yeah, always coming to educate and inform. Need to educate and inform the blasted self. Don't have a clue as to what they're talking about, but coming to educate and inform. Really? Really? Okay. Don't say you all won't want that. So when I go to the polls tomorrow, those of you who are inclined so to do, and talking about yellow is the code and blue is the code, and put all your X next to the yellow code and the blue code. Give them that momentum that they need. Give Kamala Persad-Bissessar the lifeline that she needs. Right? And let the UNC base think that, yeah, boy, back inside thing, and motivate them for 2025. It's going to take 5 years, 3 months and 14 days again. They'll eat the bread that the devil need. But I tell you something. Do I expect me to come here between 25 and 30 to do I do it and talk and tell all the PP, the UNC do this and UNC? I not enough. Because you all had your chance and all it was hardened. Me, this is not 2013 and 2014. Right? I'm older now. Okay? So I don't have time to waste to come and tell all you, well, you see they do this and look at that for 5 years while they continue to do. No, I'm not doing that. Forget that. Let somebody else come and do it. I am not wasting my good years, whatever years I have left in my youth, to come and talk to people and waste my breath. And then all they say, I'm going to vote. All of them is the same thing. Really? Okay. That's not all it. So understand, what you do tomorrow has consequences for 2025. Kamala Persad-Bissessar desperately needs a lifeline right now. And the only lifeline she could get is the results in tomorrow's election. It's make or break for her. This is more important for her than it is for the PNM. Because even if whatever the outcome is, let's say the outcome is not in the favor of the PNM still has 2 years to get the act together. 2 years. I saw the Minister of Finance, the ministry sent out a notice, I think it was yesterday, that 33,000 plus income tax refund checks are out in the mail, right? So for those of you who file your income tax last year, year before, or whatever it is, and you're griping so long, you ain't get your money. It's on its way, right? The last time this was done would have been in 2020, I believe it was, when, well, at least on this scale, when COVID had now come on, and an attempt to help citizens to get them a little ease, those persons who would have either lost their jobs or suffered a loss of income because the economy shut down and their place of business might not have been operational. The same thing happened. Once it is that your refund was $20,000 or less, a check would have come to you in the mail to give you a little bit of assistance. So some 33,000 of those checks are now in the mail on its way to you. So you're getting a little extra kakada. It should come probably sometime this week. So you have a little extra money. Those of you who need a little extra money to send the kids back to school, money is on its way. Yeah, money is on its way. And for those of you who had the good sense to invest in the NIF, at the end of this month, money is coming into your account, courtesy the government. Yes, more dividends coming into your account. The 7,500 of you who had the good sense to invest in it and didn't take Kamala Persad-Bissessar's advice to not to invest because it's a Ponzi scheme, money coming into all your pocket too. So look out for your check in the mail for your income tax refund. Look out for it. All right? So I just making this point. Understand that tomorrow is not just a local government election and wherever I go vote in 2025. No. Choosing not to vote tomorrow is risking giving Kamala Persad-Bissessar a much-needed lifeline. Right now, she's hanging on by a thin thread. And if tomorrow's results doesn't go in her favor, well, then she's likely to see a mutiny take place in September when they call the internal elections. Well, I understand they're supposed to be planning some internal election or some kind of thing, so, right? Because people who displease. Well, whatever happens next month? We don't really care. But understand, she needs a lifeline, desperately. The UNC, they need something. They need a talking point. They need something to hold on to, hope for the next 2 years. And tomorrow, you, Mr. PNM, you, Mrs. PNM, who thinking about not going to vote, who saying, well, my one voting can make a difference. You say, well, my road ain't fixed, and I ain't getting water, and this, and I ain't get that, and the drain need to clean, and because of that, I'm not voting. Understand, you may be responsible for giving the UNC faithful hope for the next 2 years. So what the people in Tobago did? They get them a talking point. When we talk about the PNM get 14-1, and see what happened in Tobago, is the same thing that happened to them. The polls are open yet. You still have time to change your mind if you say you ain't going and vote. You have time. Follow. This is one time I will tell you, take Kamala Persad-Bissessar's advice. Don't tote. Vote. Do not tote. Vote. We will deal with them issues after. Based on what, as John would have said yesterday on the barber shop, right? We need to make sure that we provide a platform so that when it is your councillors not performing, we come in and say, well, it's PNM. So, no, we will light them up with mouth. Right? We will show them up. If you're not doing what you're supposed to do and understand how important, we're not sending you there so you could sit down for 4 years and collect a salary and do nothing. No, this is not about you. You are merely the standard bearer for the PNM and we expect you to deliver. No more will we allow no pattern powder simply because you're PNM. You will not get a free pass. It have no honeymoon. Because we have 2 years to a general election, and based on how you all do your work in the next 2 years, can have a serious impact on the outcome of that election. So there is no free pass. So the intention is anytime we get complaints about PNM councillors not performing, and the UNC councillors too, but there will be no free pass for PNM councillors. Right? We will put you up. Get your act together. So consider yourself warned. We will not provide any shield for you. Okay, the citizens we are begging them to go out tomorrow and give you their support, to dip their finger in the ink, and some of them against their better judgment because they figured they have not gotten service in the last 3.5 years and they figure it will be the same thing. We can't be coming here to convince people to go and vote, to give you their support so that you could just go and sit down for 4 years and collect a salary and like yourself and doing nothing. No, we ain't having that. Okay? So at least from this platform, no, you will get put up. You will get put up. And anytime word reaches to Darian and John and whoever else, we will put you all up. No protection here. None. So again, I stress, tomorrow is very important. Not just for the sake of local government, but understand you need to send a message. We don't want no yellow code. We don't want no blue code. Yellow and blue, put together, you get Jack Warner. Green. We don't want no green code, no yellow code, and no blue code. One code, red. Code red. Right now, and it really is code red. So we call it now the Red Army. Put on your Gideon boots. Go down to the polls tomorrow, early. Do what you have to do. Dip your finger in the ink. If you need to walk with some bleach afterwards, fine, no problem. But just make sure that your vote is registered. Every vote counts. Don't tell yourself this is a PNM area and it's a done deal. Ain't no done deal. The UNC supporters are motivated to go out and vote tomorrow. I have nothing to do with local government election. It's about sending a message to the PNM, sending a message to Rowley. Do not make the PNM a laughing stock. Right? Because you know what will not happen. If they win tomorrow, by the time the results start to come in, you will see on social media all kind of names. PNM supporters, persons of African descent as latrine fly. And well, the N-word will be flying all over the place with gay abandon. Yeah? All kind of names that they could think about. You'll be hearing that giving advice to the doubles vendors to put feces in the doubles. You know, it has come up every time. And for East Indian businessmen to start charging us higher prices and all of these different. It always happens. It always happens. But I bet you, if the results does not go in the PNM's favor, you ain't going and see that. Guarantee you, you're not going to see that. Right? So, a word to the wise is sufficient. 770-1763. Just let me see here. Get this here. You say morning to Mr. Chance, Mr. Yates. Morning, Jen. Jenny, morning.
Hi, good afternoon, Dominic.
Afternoon, sorry.
Talking to all those who locked into me on Facebook and on YouTube. I just want to say this, and this is very serious. Tomorrow, God's here will show what type of society and people we have. If we allow UNC, Gary Griffith, Alexander, and all those who oppose to become entrenched within the corporations. It will tell us, if we allow that to happen, that we don't care about moral, we don't care about ethics, we don't care about values. And this prayer, everybody said to pray and pray. I don't know who they're praying to, if they allow this situation where those persons are able to come into governance again in this country because they refuse to go out and vote, because they're vexed with Rowley, or they're vexed with our counselor, or they're vexed with their agency, or they're vexed with street light, and all the other things that you all are vexed about. If you all know it, I just said no, we can't tell you what. The UNC supporters and the opposition supporters, whether they vexed with Canada, whether they vexed with Jack, and they vexed with our road, and they didn't get anything again. When it comes to voting, they don't care. All they have in their mind, they don't want PNL there. So we think about the two kinds of voters we have. If I want to vote for country, if I want to vote for party, and if you don't vote in the numbers tomorrow and vote for country, it means to say I have no interest in this country. I am telling everybody, it's not the PNM to be frightened at Japona and Barry and then ganging up with Camino. It's the citizens of this country who will have to be afraid. Because I will tell you, as Dominic said, once they get into the corporations and win this one and win that one, we are going to see an attack on us, especially to South Africa. I'm talking now. I've never seen before. I know who some of the people don't put in front attack us, we own. Because if they do it, it will look racial. So we'll send out who look like we. The house Negroes, let's call them, attack we. And it's going to be constant, it's going to be, all the time it's going to be aggressive, it's going to be violent. Not physical. I do not subscribe to that, but when you look at the language being used on social media, and the word will be out there, it will be said. I employ people in Sandy County. Come out and vote resoundingly for your candidate. One is Mr. Thomas, one is Mr. Bushel. In the areas don't get support, come out, bring out your tanty about everybody get up early. Drink something separate and go and do it as your civic right. San Fernando people, I employ all of them. It's not the PNM who feel if all the laws and Grande and laws this corporation. It's not the PNM who feel it, or the PNM organization that has been here for years. It is an institution that does rebound. Not the first subject. It's the people, the burgesses, the citizens, and your trend is going to feel it because they see they have some of the young people who are foolishness like that. You know, on the TikTok, you see what people put on the shit. Do you want that to continue? That you have young African people, especially in our community, who are talking that foolishness, not taking part in nothing at all, and just sitting on waiting. This is serious, you know, Dominic.
Yes.
This is very serious, you know. This is no joke, you know. This is crunch time, you know. What do you want our society to be? One that is more than a new society that Dr. Rowley would have promised us with the technological age. You want to have transformational leader, or do you want one who drunk and fall down, talking about standing down and ticket and systematic and drop one and food? When I say what kind of thing about shit, he wanted his international fugitive. Gary Griffith would name calling and all kind of things in branch everywhere. All they hear is saying, of course, the cockroach, one shot, one. That's the only things we disrespectful, and all of them allow this to the same thing. He's been on the radar now, and even offer the same we have for USA. He's just like them. So are we going to sit back up again? Because when come Monday night, if the result goes in the next direction, Tuesday morning, don't look for Dominic Ryan. Don't look for Sean Philip, don't look for John Hill, don't look for John Berra, don't look for Darren Marcel, don't look for Julia Baby, Mr. Ruth, Pastor Gwen, all those who have been telling you and bringing the facts to you all. Don't look for them and all the social warrior, keyboard warriors we have out there, Diane Joseph, and so many others. Don't look for them now to come to say, oh God, I should have put out there, you know. Because I think everything has been said, the information is there. We know what it is. And the only thing you have to do, the only thing we ask people to do, because all this time I call them do the hard work, you know, researching, staying up all night. Some of them are getting paid, not bringing them because they love country. And the only thing we ask, you know, let us do now is tomorrow morning, go out and vote for the People's National Movement. And then what they can't do for that, it shows that they have no love for we, or they have no love for the country, or they have no love for Prime Minister, or they have no love for ethics, no love for morality, nothing at all. I am putting it out here. I'm very passionate about this. If you refuse to vote and vote tomorrow and make this victory, something on the People's National Movement, we're saying they don't care about Dominic Romain. And all those who are just tuning in every day and asking, where Dominic, where Sharon, where Juliet, where this one, they don't care about them because they have been bringing the information to you, or they have enough evidence and information to go and do something different. When they choose not to do that, we'll go on to it. That's what I'm saying. Very, very serious this morning. Dominic, you have this one, all that, all what you have up to.
Thank you. She's on fire this morning. She's not playing at all. Hello, good afternoon. Sorry.
Hello, good day, Dominic.
Hi.
Good day.
Hi.
I want to read that the NAFTA policy is coming out of football because Jack behind them. So I'm going to PNN people read that and they come out and vote because they're not studying if they can roll, if they like, they're coming out to vote because they want to prove a point.
Yes.
I only hope our supporters they come out and vote and don't sit down home and tell us PNM winner because they're coming out with us.
Yes.
And we have positions also. Okay? Yes. Right. Well, so they read and they understand what they read. Okay?
Yes.
Come out and vote. So and see people are studying if they get light, if they get water, and they didn't get this, you know, they're coming out because they're coming out with a revenge. And we have to come out of vote with a revenge too. Because this Trinidad and Tobago, you have a blessed afternoon. We don't want to vote for no gun. Okay? We don't want to vote for no gun.
Yes.
So that, okay? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Romain. Good afternoon to all the listeners and the viewers of the Bunkin live this morning. Fact, stubborn things. I agree with Jenny full 100%. Right? No, this election 2023, which is going to be held in let's say approximately 15 hours from today, when the polls are due to open. Right? People, this local election is a deciding factor to this country. It's either you're for country or you're for party. You see, all the toil that the social media activists and you, Jenny, the Bunkin, Ruda, John and John, Google, Sharon, and all these people who are putting the information out there to the people. And if all not understanding and all not seeing and all not realizing the reality of what at stake at this present. No, I am not concerned about the People's National Movement. As Jenny rightly said, this party is an organization, right? But it's going to be detrimental to this country, right? If people only take God out of their thoughts and put that opposition coalition, the yellow and the green party, or the yellow and blue party, sorry, to run the affairs in this country after all what Jack Warner, all what Gary had to say about this woman. And it clearly shows to me that we in this country are willing to abide and go at lengths to listen and go and feed of the misinformation and the propaganda that's been leveled out at the people. Now, over the last couple of weeks during the campaign season, not one of them, Dominic, even brought nothing to the table regarding what they're going to do, how they're going to enhance the country, or the betterment of the citizens. Nothing. All they're talking about is what? Load your matic, empty the clip, all them things. What sense you as a former prime minister in this country, right? A former head of the National Security Council, telling the people, the young people who are now leaving school, who have voted the first time as rightfully said, Dominic, what example you are setting for people like these people, right? You have nothing in place for the young people. They had CCT, they had must have all these programs. When you close it down, so are you going to have a repeat of that come 2025? Are you going to close down all these programs for youth, elevating the youth? So in other words, Dominic, they are hell-bent on Foster Cummins not elevating the youth in this country. Look how much opportunities that Foster Cummins have for the youth in this country. Why we people not going and gravitate it? Only gravitate the handout and gimme and hand down syndrome. We had to come out of that mentality, and Dr. Rowley is trying to break that dependency syndrome out of people. But then again, you have the opposition want to feed with that hand-me-up syndrome. People, this election tomorrow is a deciding factor for the country, one, and for the road leading to the 2025 general election. And as Dominic rightfully said, once PNM is successful in this election, we are going to help all councillors, aldermen, and mayor accountable to the service to the people in this country. And the bunking is going to be on the toes. I know the bunking, let me talk the thing, and all these places will be on the toes. So guys, say prayers, get out there, take your family, go out there and vote resoundingly for your 141 candidates in Trinidad. And on the night of tomorrow, we go join in Balizé House and we go say, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and we will, shall, and must prevail. Dominic, I'll listen.
Thank you, sir. As you made mention of Balizé House, I see the new. Well, at least the old Balizé House has now been refurbished and is ready for tomorrow night. Yes, it looks really, really good. Hello, good afternoon.
Dominic,
Yes, sir.
what's going on?
All is.
Dominic,
Abasi, all is well, sir.
Did you tell Ben what I told you about enemy of the PNM is in the PNM, Dominic, yesterday?
No, sir.
I was calling, but you didn't take my call.
Well, you probably why.
You afraid me, Hey, Dominic.
Yes, sir.
I told you how Dr. Roby did certain things similar to the former Prime Minister, if not the same.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a synopsis. You can remember when the KP government was in power. The former Prime Minister put a health center in Carnage. I think that the time when she opened the muffin.
The cupcake.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the PNM came in power. Dr. Rowley sanctioned a school It's superior for she. But you wouldn't put the high school and secondary school in Taranai for the children. You put a school in superior for she. Same thing. Same thing. I will leave it there for now.
Thank you, sir. Since I was at 1.9, you were supposed to find land in Bangladesh for the school. Hi.
Listen, people, money, let's hold on one street now. Always calling the radio and talking foolishness. Go back in and sleep in it upstairs now in your ghetto where you come from. Dominic,
yes,
all I want to say is if people don't listen, they will have to speak.
Correct.
Because when you say something, in all my years of living, I'm 75 years, I've been like this old man who's talking rubbish. So you speak to the youth and tell them, put down the gun. Put down the guns. I'm asking you, guns they don't bring you back when you're down.
Yes.
I am begging my black African brothers especially, put down the guns. Your life would be useless because when you go, you might leave your offspring behind. Put down the guns and don't bother Miss Mrs. living she living. I don't know if she has friend and if she has grandparent and if she has no respect for this. Because you as a mother or a grandmother would say to your children, you don't want them to feel, you don't want them to do anything that is out of the ordinary. You want to encourage them and to light up the matic. I want to know when they light up the matic, it better do it up too. Because I'm sure if all of these lights are the way all I want to go, a lot of us will have to die. Because let me say that's not the way we want to go. We want to have a country. I love this country and I want to see this country. They are not good for this country. And I'm saying it openly to this. Whatever the outcome, I'm going to make sure I make sure my offspring go there, I put first in line. And I'm saying to you, what has to be will be. If we do the right things, we're going to get the right outcome.
Yes.
If we do the wrong things, we're going to get the wrong outcome. And I don't think nobody wants the wrong outcome. Young people have come out here. I know when they were paying money, I was 14 after 16 to get a free education. And I never faulted. I did what I have to do today. I'm owning a pension, which I worked, which I earned. I'm not getting a government pension, say as they call it. I earned it. And we had to work to be able to help others to get a pension because yes, they have to live. Yes. I'm saying to you, Dominic, good program, keep it up. And I'm saying to you, there are some people who will go, they go suffer, You see what they do?
Yes.
Because people like Kingsley and them who feel that these people are in there, I'm going to tell you they're going to have something else coming. Because this morning a man took me up, I went to the market and I'm blazing. I said, well, don't tell them to put down the gun. Put down the guns. God don't give you a second life.
Yes.
So Dominic, I'm saying to you, you have done well. I appreciate what you have done. And I'm saying don't give up. Don't give up because somewhere down the line, somebody's going to listen.
Yes. Somebody
who was thinking differently, you might change their mind. Don't give up. I am saying to you, you are doing well. Jenny and Sharon and the others, they are doing very good. But I think we have something coming that I would want to initiate.
Yes. And
when we do that, a lot of people will think twice the next time. Have a nice dinner.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
You too.
Good job.
Right. Yes. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Hey, Dominic, man.
Yeah. Hold on, clear.
Yes, man. Good day. Good editor, as usual. Wonderful contribution from all your previous callers. What I can say, Dominic, is that you keep on doing liquid work. I don't know if you're alive after, I don't know, around 7 o'clock in the night. I don't know when they start count the ballots. But I just sure about if you have done that. But I just wanted to tell you guys, right? I'm very disappointed in that that young individual who is a blogger. And it's very sad because apparently she's intellectually is a triplet, and nobody's doing it to actually triplet. Because apparently she's not aware of the so-called home set program for young people. That was one of the best programs. That was one of the best programs the PNM offers. I say, with the free tertiary education.
Yes.
Right? It's by Mr. Madden, so I don't know if she don't know about the home set project. They get in your land, they get a house. I think they're selling it to university.
Yes.
And also it's back of food security. So we would use our buildings in food. She don't know about that. And talking about hard time, people suffering and stuff like that. You just aspiration also about that. So I'm thinking about cars that she got from CNCO, UND, cars coming models of cars.
Yes, yes.
And people buying cars in large bulk. But I'm supposed to tell you something, Dominic. Does that show that people are suffering in this country?
Yeah.
I don't think so. If people could afford to buy this company important cars and people buying cars, I think this country have money to burn.
Yep.
Citizens have money. And if you all Mr. Manning was a visionary, when you have excess cars on your road, calling objectives, so more cars on the road, more pressure on the roads, you're going to have more potholes. The weight of those vehicles. Now, I understand why Mr. Manning wanted to introduce the rapid transit system. It's important it was Mr. Dominic. I hope that the authorities revisit this project also with the so-called aluminum smelter plant and the mega farms. That is one of the worst things that the PT government scrap. And more than ever, with this so-called aspect, and I just imagine happened in traffic on the road yesterday with all those kids. I think the authorities will revisit that railway project. I will listen to hear from you, Dominic, but I'm very disappointed with that African sister.
Yes.
But I will forgive her because she was probably in a pump. She's not aware of Mr. Man and 2020 vision, and she probably doesn't pick it up. So I will forgive her. She was probably better to her.
Yes.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Right, and the headline in the Newsday: Opposition leader Kamala Prasad called upon UNC supporters and all citizens to empty the clip and unleash their rage on the PNM when they vote in the local government election on Monday. Empty the clip on the PNM. Okay, all right. This here. Hello. Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon.
Greetings.
Excellent. Yeah, greetings, man. Excellent as usual.
Thank you.
This Sunday before the day. But concerning the Firearms and so on, the issue that you raised and so on, right? These 26 persons who have appealed. As far as I'm aware, there's still something called the Firearms Appeal Board.
Yes.
And people who are aggrieved by not being approved by the commissioner, that entity was set up so they could have a right of appeal to find out about the process. And the appeal board and its members will then adjudicate on the merits of the refusal of the application, and then send it back to the commissioner of police. It would be interesting to find out how many of those persons would have exceeded the capacity. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And this is something that in this whole firearm FUL debate, nobody seems to want to bring the phone to remind other people that it's not the commissioner of police alone in this whole after. The Firearms Appeal Board was set up to assist him and to oversee whether or not the decision made by him or her was partisan or not, or went contrary to what is established. You understand? There was no Firearms Appeal Board for several years, right? And everyone conveniently forgets about this body. And it would be enlightening if that body, its chairman or some member could come forward and say, listen, this is what has come to us, and this is what nobody has. We have dealt with it, we have made recommendations. How about that? So we have a more fulsome appreciation of how the system really operates. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And in terms of the requirements, yes, if you look at somebody but disingenuously point out the 7 requirements for FUL applicants, and then you will come now and say, remove me from the process, and you ECP Prague. Do you recall that? And he was, I think he was just about to retire. He was made assistant commissioner of police. He was also charged. Right? That's the highest ranking person that was charged in that whole firearms investigation thing. You know, and nobody challenges the gentleman on that. He often said, and I'll repeat again, that no firearm was used for an illegal activity and was granted by him. As I recall, the incident in San Fernando where the wife was killed and the husband killed himself. The gentleman was 5 firearms. Those firearms were issued by him. They were signed by him. So it's incorrect to say, it's a blatant lie to say that none of the firearms he issued was used in an illegal act. Because murder and suicide are 2 illegal acts. And they are illegal acts with finality. The husband died, the wife died. So come on, nobody raises that point with him. You understand what I'm saying? But you know, the thing was that I, like I say, based on however the results go tomorrow, I will not be looking to offer any sort of education to people like myself of African descent again. Like I told someone, you know, when we complain about our circumstances, but let's just look to the north, and I'll leave with this. So in Florida, you have a governor who is trivializing chattel slavery and Jim Crow segregation. That is why he's going out there and you know, and Florida is a place that a lot of them want to rush to live to and live because of how orderly it is. But Florida is a state where this governor has disenfranchised 100,000 fellas who would have served time and come out of prison, right? By careful control of the Florida state legislature, they have encouraged gerrymandering to disenfranchise black voters who they perceive to be Democrats. That is a fact. One of his most dastardly acts to date is where he has fired the only black female state attorney while she is on maternity leave, putting her 10-week-old child in jeopardy because the lady will lose her state-sponsored medical insurance. Therefore, she may not be able to finish the immunization of a 10-week-old baby. That's what we want. That is what we want to go to and say it's superior to us. No, and finally, I want to say this. In the 56, the PNM was established 67 years ago. They have been rejected by the electorate 3 times. And on all the 3 occasions, they have gone back, retooled themselves, reassessed, repackaged their ideas, and come back and gotten mandates. They have never once questioned the integrity of the electoral process and seek to cast blame on the ABC of writers. The PM has had the utmost faith in the Election and Boundaries Commission. People who want to get a vote or have themselves superior to the PM must also accede to that kind of confidence in the EDC. I rest my case though. Take care, brother. Unless we have the right thinker among us, go out and do their civic duty the correct way tomorrow.
Yes. Thank you. Alex,
last week.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, next time. I'll come again. People don't let media try to change the narrative of the program because you know they are sent to upset the run-ins, right? So let's stay focused and ignore the rhetoric with Lividia. Lividia is a sad old man looking for attention right now. But Dominic, it had 3 PNM candidates are looking hard at to bring it home in the district. You see Jamila Marisho, Teresa Lynch, and Latoya Graves Tinto. You see those 3 PNM candidates, I have a strong feeling that they will bring them district. That again, something last night, again, a feeling.
Right.
Those 3 areas, Jamina Marisho, St. Hill, Teresa Lynch, and Latoya Graves Tinto. Well, she went for the Senator area, the Tinto girl, and Marisho San Fernando, and the Marisho, Lynch San Fernando, and Marisho is a Maribel Ash. Marisho went against Macamelian. And I want Marisho to blaze that man because he has no quality. He is not a people's person, more or less. Right? So guys, let's stay focused, ignore Liberté. Liberté doesn't get our attention right now. He have nothing to say, nothing to put on the table. So he will call and then try to be antagonistic. Right? So, guys, Liberté, forget you. Stay focused. We have our elections to focus on. Right? And tomorrow night, we will join us together. And for the caller who said to bring it live at County, we will be there. We will be live at Bali's house.
Thank you, sir. Let's see here. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Hi, afternoon.
Dominic, are you hearing me?
Loud and clear.
Gary calls cockroach. Can cockroach vote?
No. No.
No. How much ID cards?
No.
You don't have ID cards. I'm a cockroach. Why should I vote for you?
Right.
You punch a cockroach. You tell me I'm going to vote for you. Gary, hear this, man. You're a madman. I am a cockroach. Come the same thing. People go tomorrow, they index finger, and use the matic vote against humanity because you see it as a slave master name. Slaves are called less than animals. Animals don't have a soul. So you insult me. You weaponize slavery and vote for you. You have got to be kidding. You do not love us. You use us conveniently. You see me? They use conveniently. We are nothing to you. So how come tomorrow like me? What am I free bus ride? A free phone call? Carla, you tell you that. You are a poor excuse for a leader. The gun will both ways. If those children was alive, you can think could have been here. The Bible is talking above ground. How can you call yourself a potential prime minister when you are hateful? When you hit carry come Kamala, you carry come to Palestine. What was that? You rape the treasury. And I find Congo's money, she should be held accountable for inciting violence. You are enticing violence against people with a terroristic act. You have become Abu Bakr. 1990, your portion right after what was Kamala, but you know what? That slave will not go to you. That slave you will put in for Kamala will go back to you. 1990 was bad. You were pushing in 1997. And how can people slip? Look at Jack Warner. What is Jack Warner in 1910? And how can people slip? Look at Jack Warner. What is Jack Warner issue? You're bad poker. You corner all manner of evil names, but there you are, Jack. You can't be so dotish. Are you a walking donkey? What is wrong with you? This son, fire last great cell. And young people hear me well. Every African person, I bless you. On the 13th of August 2023, I bless you. I speak well over you. You're going to prosper. You're going to be statesmen. You're going to be leaders. You're going to be business owners. You're going to be lawyers, doctors, and prophesy into your very own state, mother. Into your Lawrence any words spoken against you, which is not of God, and break it or not. You will be what God said. It's hurt my heart that we are called nothing.
Yes.
But you want my vote? Make it make sense. Make me understand if I'm a cockroach and a monkey. Why you want to vote? Slaves were allowed to vote. Slaves were less animals.
Yes.
Kamala and Gary, what is this? Do you know what your mind is? You are confused and senile. The man house has a whole word for you. Please go there and lock it up for life and she's a terrorist. Terrorism should be in jail. Because when he said climatic, you encourage violence. You encourage murder. So be blessed, my darling.
Thank
Have
you.
a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you. Ryan, call me back, Mr. Chance. Still have a few minutes left. It's here. Mr. Chance. Hello?
Yeah, Dominic, how you doing, son?
I am good, sir. How are you doing?
Good, one day at a time.
Nice.
I just want to join Jennifer Cedric
Yes.
and add some random section to what she said. Because tomorrow, in my opinion, I've been here, Fiscal and 10 and that we have a very important day in the life of the people of Trinidad. We had independence, the republicanism, and now it's another very important step where our people will have the power and the authority to treat matters in their community and their immediate surroundings. In that regard, I would like to make a call for all of us to treat this local government election as an election for you. Because in many respects, that election is for an authority to improve the quality of life of the people. That local government reform is about you and your family and your people. It's about getting opportunity with new jobs. It's about creating a different environment in the community, and that's what you want. I want to make a special appeal to the people in Sarigani Northwest. I've worked there for many years as a teacher in that area. I'm making a special appeal. When you go to the polls, Sarigani Northwest, it's Alicia Thomas. That is the candidate. There's a counselor I think that will serve you well in the corporation. And then in Sarigani South, Mr. Buchun, it is important, Sarigani, that you make that change because you have had 3 years of pilfering. And the pilfering went so far that all the counselors was on bail and he had to report to the Sarigani station every Wednesday. You cannot go back to that. So I'm asking to make a special appeal. This is Neville Chan. The people of Sarigani to make sure that you do the right thing and you create better. That is not for Sarigani. I know I've worked for Sarigani for years. That type of conduct doesn't keep you in the street of Sarigani. And the same thing for Sarigani South. Mr. Buchu, go there and give them that support. So we change dynamics in Sarigani. So we now have a safe tree. And I want to make a special appeal to the people of Kora, Paradise, Tacariko, in the Tulapuna Piaco Regional Corporation. Your candidate is Mr. Reginald Gregg. Your candidate is Mr. Reginald Gregg. Go out. We have to win back that corporation, that in La Goya, the people in El Dorado Gardens, the people in Barcelona Street Housing. We want you to come out in your numbers and support Reginald Gregg so that the PNM will get back that electoral district. That's my very special appeal. And of course, my special place, Watsonville, Tulapuna. We want you to go in your numbers by midday, by 12 o'clock on Monday. You should have a clear idea what is happening in Tulapuna without all the people of Tulapuna turning up. And the people of Trinidad, I just thank you for the pandemic. And I want to remind them again, tomorrow's a very important day. The President will send me a very important call. And his speech there at the closing of the rally, a call for all, a call that will make all of us go to the polls and register that vote, that change. Independence, republicanism, and then local government authority, giving authority to help in the management of your community. Thank you for the time, Dominic. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good afternoon. Hello. Hello, good afternoon.
Afternoon, Dominic.
Good afternoon, sir.
I always say, you won't tell me why letters UNC is at the center word dot. Not even this big superior SC could tell me why. But I hear Mundilalu always talking about the 1%. I see downstairs the home on the Naparima Mayaro Road. There's no Pizza Hut. I wonder if Jolene helped him to get that because she was in the pizza thing before I thought.
Oh my goodness. Right. Let's see what's the time there. We'll take a couple more. Brian, where are you? Come back. Sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Dominic. Woo! Where you want to go?
Now, you go ahead.
Dominic, I think all of the previous callers have endorsed all that you have said that they have been saying for quite some time. And also explain the importance of tomorrow.
Yes.
Because tomorrow for me, Dominic, why is it important for me? I'll tell you why. Because I do not want to be a casualty of a firearm. I do not want my children who have to go to work every single day to be a casualty of a firearm. I don't want my grandchildren, while they are playing, to be a casualty of a firearm. I want people to understand in the last, from 2010 to today, there have been close to 7,000 murders in Trinidad and Tobago, with a 12% solving rate, which means Trinidad and Tobago are close to 6,500 unsolved murders for our 8,000 police officers, minus all those who are not doing detective work to solve. And every day there are at least 2 or 3 by a firearm. And I am hearing people saying, people who want to lead me, people who want to lead you, but calling me a cockroach, telling me about my slave master name, and telling me, and calling the Prime Minister of this country the blank man, a Oreo, disrespecting a president, even before she could sign her name on any document. And even the one who just recently left, who has done absolutely nothing to anybody. When I study all of these things, Dominic, and I study a man, the first thing he do to put us aldermen in his family in 2 constituencies. I have to tell Trinidad and Tobago, whilst there are some youths who may be misled and don't have it good, like the young lady we played earlier, we need to speak to everybody who we know to tell them, listen, we knew what we got between 2010 and 2015, and it is going to be us. And we must go out and do what we need to do tomorrow, please God, and do it early. Don't wait, because rain might fall, and they will look for another excuse. So get up early and go and do what it is we have to do tomorrow. Not just for the fence line. Think about your children. Think about your grandchildren. Because there is a man waiting to become commissioner of police to get the 8,000 more work than he could handle right now. Because he is saying that his firearms are not being used for nefarious means, which is not true, as proven by Dominic on many occasions. And therefore, we have a job. And therefore, we have a job to do. Because I am no cockroach. As a lady called us, the cockroach don't vote. I'm a human being. Blood running through my veins, and I have common sense. I'm educated, and I know where I could put my X when I see Balize. So it doesn't matter of voting for anybody except the PNM, because we all know what we're going to get. All the rest are the same, because all of them jumbling up the fly-by-night, bouncing up today, and then tomorrow, after this election, you will see where they go be. One looking to save himself from a serious jail for the rest of his life. So he will do anything and say anything after all that he said before. Thank God, Ms. Juliet Davis showed us exactly and reminded us what this man said for hours on end, on podiums, for hours on end, with radiation. Come today to say that Kamla Prasad Viseta started this hospital. Kamla Prasad Viseta did this, and Kamla Prasad Viseta did that, trying to save your own self. Absolute nothing more. You have nothing to offer in this country anymore. If you believe it, nothing wrong with your case. Why are you about the country? When last you left the country? Talking about, oh, he's still here and nothing happening. Leave the country now, let's see. We have to be careful, people of Trinidad and Tobago. And nothing will change if we give them any further opportunity. And I want to remind people who are living in areas where you believe your vote will not matter. It would mean that if even our candidates don't win, at least we'll get an alderman in there. So we'll be able to keep a close eye on exactly where the money going when it does come in. That is what it means. So therefore your vote, even in those areas, are important, especially. They left the Brian Lara Academy to rot. And even when this government repaired it eventually, they looked to stymie it and stop people from going in there. Padarot was on the case every single day. And now they want to stop. You see that waterfront project? They want to stop Farid Al-Wari in his tracks. Do not let them stop really San Fernando becoming the city that it's supposed to be. Not the borough according to their leader, but the city it is supposed to be. Go out and vote in the morning, San Fernandians. Please, do me this favor. Go out and vote. And all of us from my community, go out and vote for Denise tomorrow morning. Go out and vote for her because she is an experienced woman. She has a great young lady. Go out and vote for her for me, please. I urge you, do not take God out of your thoughts. Don't play lazy tomorrow. Tomorrow is not a day to play lazy. And don't tell me I have to cook, because when you don't cook today, it's for today and tomorrow. So I ain't taking that. Go out and vote. I will be going out to vote early tomorrow. Please, we have a fight. Do what you need to do. Thank you very much, Dominic.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
Thank you so much, Brian. Right, so folks, it's 1:52. Let me thank you for joining me today. It was not my intention to stay this long, but we have a very important assignment tomorrow. So, as when you go to bed tonight, say your prayers, you get up in the morning, say your prayers, and go and do your civic duty. You have 2 hours off. You get given 2 hours off to go and cast your ballot. So make sure you make the right choice, the only choice that there is to be made, because we really don't want to set a yapping from that other party that has nothing of substance to offer. If you listen to the campaign for the last 2 months, nothing of substance, and don't want to have in the next 2 years. Every month we see a newspaper article about some UNC councillor get caught up in some wrong stand-up. They come in before the courthouse for bribery or for corruption or something like that. I think we saw a video, supposedly one of their candidates demonstrating perhaps how to video with supposedly one of their candidates demonstrating perhaps how to see how that goes. All right, but there's much more for me to say. I think I said all you need to say with respect to what you need to do tomorrow. So tell your friends, you get your family, your children, talk about mommy, I feel it. Mommy nothing. Get up, go out and vote. Right? It ain't gonna take you that long. Unless of course PNM people come out in their numbers and the line's long, but that's all right. It's for a worthy cause. And then tomorrow night we'll be brand new Alizé House if you can see it yet. Take a peep. And we can all celebrate and shout great is the PNM. So before I go, let me just leave you with this one piece of advice. Yes, I couldn't have said it better myself.
And who you are or where you work, get your ass out and vote. This ain't the election to sit home and learn. Get your ass out and vote. 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 Get your ass.
That's right. Get out, go and vote. All right, so folks, and well, I don't know. We will see what happens tomorrow night, and then Tuesday morning, I'll be back. God's willing, and yeah. So there is.
I don't care who you are or where you work. Get your ass